know that we're at the end of the rope. We'll make a change.
Earnhardt came into this event as one of the favorites to win it. He certainly isn't looking like a winner at this moment.
Hendrick overall is very solid, but the 88 is not performing.
They are trying desperately to find a way to fix this problem. Okay, Mr. Crew Chief.
Tony Jr. is a great asset to any race team or any organization, and he'll do great things. And I've always said that about him, and maybe we just ain't meant to do them together.
Was it the right call?
No more excuses. Junior needs to redeem himself.
What will happen next?
Eventually, I'm going to be the one that has to answer to the fact of how much did I live up to my father's name.
You're an Earnhardt. Get out there and show me.
It's been an eventful week in NASCAR, a meeting of the minds discussing the state of the sport, a major shakeup for its most popular driver. But today, it's about taking on the monster. It's about racing as NASCAR and Fox present Sprint Cup Racing, brought to you by McDonald's. We're at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware, where the chase to get to the chase continues. And the weather's good. Temperature in the upper 70s, sunny, some clouds. It rained earlier, but we are good to go and glad you're with us. Our Hollywood Hotel in the infield. We've been here all year long. It's the place where America gathers for NASCAR. Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers. Glad you're with us. Yep. David Rudiman, last week's first-time winner, on the pole for today. It should be a terrific race.
It should be, but, man, there's a lot going on. There's more going on off the track than there is on almost. But today's going to be a fun race. Can't wait to get it started. A lot of good things to look forward to.
You better be watching out for the monster today, Chris. This is a carnivorous racetrack. It loves to chew up sheet metal.
And
hey,
we'll be
the nickname of this place, the monster, is Miles.
Yes.
Nothing mild about this place.
We'll watch every lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. joined Hendrick Motorsports last season with a lot of fanfare. But he's only won one of the 48-point races over that time. So Tony Uri Jr. is out as the crew chief. He's still going to be in the organization. On an interim basis, Lance McGrew will take over for the rest of the year. Kyle Busch, meanwhile, pulled no punches when talking about the driver who replaced him.
You know, it's never Junior, it's always the crew chief.
He's always had a chip on his shoulder for me, so I expect anytime he gets an opportunity to throw a jab in there, he's going to do it, and that's just his personality.
So did Kyle Busch say what a lot of other drivers were thinking?
You know, drivers normally don't have very many original thoughts, so I'm pretty sure he heard it somewhere.
Wow. All right. So how about this?
Already.
Fans are wondering if you put Earnhardt Jr. in the car that Jimmy Johnson drove, it's still Hendrick, would he have wins right now?
I think he would, yes. I think right now they've been missing a little something over there. I still believe Dale Earnhardt can drive. They'll get this thing figured out. He'll get to victory lane.
All right. Does the crew chief make a difference here with Jr.?
Well, I think it does. By all means, I'm not sure they got the right guy in the job. I'm not sure how Lance and it's chemistry,
it's still
personality,
chemistry. Yep.
and they don't have what I consider to be a very matching personality, those two guys. I got to get a wait and see on that one.
But you know, the odd couple may be successful.
Well, they might. Lance is a strong-willed guy.
He is
and you respect Junior has taken his share of the responsibility. He has not run from that. And Junior is standing by with our Steve Burns. Steve?
Thank you, Chris. Dale, on Friday, when you talked to the media, you said you were disappointed but hopeful. Your thoughts today?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. We're real confident. You know, when you get up on race day, you know, you got to have your game together, and so we're ready. We're ready to go, and the team's pretty focused. Had a good meeting this morning, and you know, we'll see how it works out. It's a great day, great weather, a lot of good fans here. Check us out. So hopefully we put on a good show.
It's been tumultuous, but great to see you happy yesterday after you got a big win in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, it was great for that company and Tony Sr., and they really needed that, man. I care so much for them guys, and it's so good to see them happy. So that was a great win for us, and congratulations to Brad and everybody on that team. They worked so hard to get those things.
Good luck today, Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And Junior, he's 34 years old. Does he win a championship before his career wraps up?
Ooh, I used to think he could, but right now it's really I'm kind of questioning that. I think he's got to get to winning before we can worry about a championship.
The mental pressure building.
Yeah. You know what? He said something right there that just caught my attention. He said he's glad to see those guys happy. His daddy used to be that same way. His daddy was almost worrisome to the point of always trying to tell you how to do, what to do, when to do. only because he thought he was helping you. And I think that's Dale Jr. right now. He's got to get some of that pressure off of his shoulders.
But I like his attitude, and right now I think everybody at Hendrick Motorsports is really working outside the box, you might say, to make sure he gets everything he needs to be successful, from Lance McGrew, Brian Weitzel, Rex Stump. I mean, everybody's there, I think, rallying around behind him to give him what he needs.
Junior Nation hoping for the best. We'll get some more substance in the show.
Oh, by all means, with you, it's substance abuse. So.
Still to come from the Monster Mile. He kids because he doesn't care.
It's his last chance.
The stars of NASCAR treading the back straightaway for the fairway. Find out who swung the wrenches off of pit road at the Drive for Autism golf event. And have you heard about NASCAR's newest moves in the town hall meeting, drivers, owners gathering? We'll bring you up to speed with what went on there. Plus, Digger is back one more time. Something strange brewing for Gas and Go. That's all ahead before we turn out the lights for this season with NASCAR on Fox. And you can get your Digger gear at digger.ask.com today. Also, dwstore.com. Say hi to Van. Tell him Charlie Daniels, not only a great musician, but a great American. On to the Sprint Cup point standings after 12 races. Jeff Gordon, the leader. He's been there in 9 races this year. Matt Kenseth, the 9th place, best Roush Fenway Ford. Now, this time in 2005, Kenseth rallied from 23rd to make the chase. Rudeman, 13th. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 203 points away from 12th. And Kevin Harvick is 23rd. Well, this week was a time for the NASCAR community to gather for the 8th annual charity event to raise funds in the fight against autism. Drivers pulled out their drivers, big names and big hearts united for a great cause.
Hey everybody, we're here at the DuPont Country Club for the Drive for Autism. My name's Chris Peasy. It's a great event. We got a lot of stars and
Can we play now? Like, how many takes do you need?
No. Jimmy, somebody told me that you won here last year, which means you're going for a back-to-back championship. When are you going to step it up in NASCAR?
Who are you? Who brought this guy?
Juan Pablo, how you hitting today? Would you say they're on target? Mr. Waltrip. Darrell, if I may.
No, you may not.
It's a fantastic event. We have a great time, and it's for a great cause. So I have a bunch of wonderful kids today, all excited about us being up here playing golf. So we'll raise a lot of money for them, and I'm sure we'll put it to good use.
Well, it's important to me to be able to come out and make a difference and see some of the kids and put a smile on their face, whether it's just with an autograph, a hug, or a picture. Create a fun environment for them to enjoy.
Hazy, bring that back here. That's the problem.
And our thanks to Chris Peasy. Next time, Jake Jolivet will do the State Farm Safety Report. Actually, a lot of money was raised. We thank you for your support. We're counting it down to the start of the race here in Dover.
David Rudeman. They've nicknamed him the franchise.
David Rudeman has won the Coca-Cola 600. Third career pole.
Rudy Tootie.
39-year-old David Rudeman, the winner last week. His first Cup win in 75 attempts on Friday here in Dover. It is Toyota winning the second pole of the season for him. During a Coca-Cola 600 rain delay, the always entertaining Tony Stewart approached a member of Rudeman's crew, and the driver we call Smoke, he was fuming. And from that last encounter was born the myth and the legend of Billy Badbutt.
What's up? My name is Glenn Bigger, 00 team. I'm a mechanic, but you may know me as Billy Badbutt. Welcome to the Gun Show.
Tony Stewart and David Rudeman were having a kind of reasonable conversation, and then one of David's crew chimed in, and then things got a little bit heated.
Tony Stewart come down and had some words for David. He just kept egging it on, and finally I got sick of hearing it. I told him to leave. There was a little discussions. After he posted his resume for me, I ended up bowing down to him, which I don't think he was too happy about.
Be Billy Badbutt.
I was watching qualifying on Friday. Somebody come up and grabbed me from the back. I turned around, it was Tony Stewart. We talked about the whole deal and kind of cut up and laughed about it. It was pretty good. Any other drivers need protection, they're being too nice, just go ahead and give me a call. My number will be in the NASCAR track.
New animated series this fall on Fox, Billy Badbutt. Watch for it. Your crew chief, always had your back, right?
We had two rules. Hammond always told me, if you don't wreck our car, I won't let anybody hurt you. And so I always put him out there to take care of ODW.
That's right.
You got it. All right, one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history is going to be 38 years old in August. Jeff Gordon has helped shoulder the transition of NASCAR's growth. Now is aching back a story. He needed a shot before last week's race. Friday, he wrecked during qualifying, so he'll start 42nd in today's race. Jeff has won Dover 4 times.
He knows how to win the big races.
How about Jeff Gordon? He has now led 20,000 laps.
That 24 car is on the prowl. 24 car has come alive, Larry. It likes being up near the front.
Well, the DuPont Highway is a long road for Jeff Gordon today. That wreck in qualifying means you're in the back. How is your back over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, it's definitely the sorest it's been since the wreck today. But, you know, I think sitting in the race car is the best place for me. So I look forward to getting in there. You know, we certainly are going to have our work cut out for us, but this DuPont Chevrolet team's up to the challenge, and I'm excited about it. I also want to remind the fans out there, you know, we're doing our Corvette raffle and still trying to continue to. I love that this race supporting autism here, but you know, we're fighting for a lot of children dealing with life-threatening illnesses, and so our Corvette raffle is still out there. So if we could please get people to get to JeffGordonFoundation.org, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's also the last race on Fox today, and you have a lot of wins. What you don't have, 82 to be exact, you don't have one of these, the Fox Cup. Now, should you be the points leader at the end of this race, this is yours.
So you're teasing me with it. Okay, well, it's a coveted cup, so I hope that I get it at the end of the day. We're going to work our hardest to get to the front, get some good points, and make a good day out of this. And so hopefully I can get the cup from you at the end of the day. And happy birthday. I heard your birthday.
Thank you very much. Hey, it's also a great Pepsi ice chiller.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. I didn't win it. I didn't earn it yet. I got to earn it first.
Just like the Stanley Cup. All right, good luck, Jeff.
Thanks, Chris, and happy birthday to you. He'll be pouring Pepsi in that cup, I'm sure. That Fox Cup is big. You know, you win all the races, and you're the points leader at this point. What about Jeff's future in terms of pain, wear, and tear? He's already kind of into the ownership role.
You know, one of the things that I'm surprised is how all of a sudden we heard about his back trouble. You know, it started earlier this year, and I don't know. It must really be bothering him for him to keep talking about it and trying to get getting something done about it.
I think, Steve, right now, Letart's going to do a great job today. They'll drive from the back to the front. He'll be a factor.
Yep, he's been terrific in concrete. All right, time for the Fox NASCAR News Watch. Well, he's terrific everywhere. Robbie Gordon is appealing the NASCAR penalty levied against his team for that axle setup in the Coca-Cola 600, where he finished third, his best since 2005. And Friday, a judge denied Jeremy Mayfield's request for a temporary restraining order that would have lifted his suspension. But Wednesday, a hearing will be held to determine whether he will be able to race next week in Pocono. Well, this race concludes the 9th year of NASCAR on Fox, and it's always fast and fun and eventful here, and we get to do a lot of fun things through technology. All right, so instead of forecasting the future, we thought we would just take you there. And we are in Homestead, Miami. The final race of the season has been run for Gas and Go. It's in November. NASCAR has wrapped up. I don't know how we got here, but modern technology.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of liking it, though, guys.
All right, you're still on the clock, and we're looking back over the entire year.
Feeling it.
And you look like we're ready to hit the beach, which we have a little work to do. Darrell, who was the most surprising guy who made the chase?
Juan Pablo Montoya.
Really?
I really, he and his crew chief, Brian Patty, they hooked it up. They got it done. I love it, man. They're going to be out on the beach before long.
I thought it was Casey Kana, that new R6 engine. All right, Jeff, for you, I've been studying.
Doesn't know about engines.
What changes did we see this year that came out of those May meetings where we had the big discussion?
Well, right now, biggest thing has to be the fact I've been loving the fact that the double file restarts have made racing so exciting. Can you imagine right after Dover they decided to make that change? And it has been just awesome. I mean, great restarts. Nobody's complaining about the leader getting away from them. I loved it.
All right, what other change were you happy with?
Well, we've been complaining about that race car ever since it was introduced. So I'm happy they finally did a little adjusting on the back of it and the front of it and made it a little bit more competitive.
Well, yeah.
That made me very happy.
And the drivers are happy as well. All right, Darrell, for you, will Lance McGrew be Junior's crew chief for the upcoming season? Earnhardt Jr., right, has had that change, and you saw how it played out.
Now, wait a minute. For the upcoming season, he didn't even make it through this season.
No, we're already past this season. You got to play along with the gag. All right, I guess that's a no. All right,
that's a no.
Jeff, I think that sunblock's getting into your brain. All right, Jeff, this week's Ask.com Gas and Go viewer question submitted in advance. Robbie from San Francisco. Robbie asks, what is the only track on the circuit that Jeff Gordon has not won on at all?
I hate to say it, Robbie. Here at Homestead, still hadn't won. It'll take another year.
Wow, so he didn't win this final race. All right, Daryl, was this Jamie McMurray's last race with the Roush Fenway?
Yeah, and here's what's going to happen. Jack Roush is going to keep that Yates connection. That's it's a satellite team. He'll put a big name driver over there. It'll be McMurray Yates. It'll be Biffle Yates, Kenseth Yates, maybe Edwards Yates.
Yates and Yates. All right, Jeff, will anybody follow Tony Stewart and become an owner driver?
Yes, I do believe so, and I think he's going to wind up being Kevin Harvick. Delaney and her have just enjoyed so much. This drop.
Chance in the future that Dale Earnhardt Jr. would consider that.
Well,
yes?
we know he's moving his nationwide car into the Cup Series. So yeah, you're right.
Fair enough. Final question for both. The obvious here: who won the championship today? Were you satisfied, Jeff, with who captured it?
We called it early.
What'd you call?
I tell you what, Don Johnson.
Thank you very much.
Jimmy's brother. So Jimmy Johnson,
exactly right.
Unprecedented
four in a row. Can you
Did
believe
you ever
that?
think somebody could accomplish such a feat?
No, I never did. Unless it had been me, and of course I didn't get that opportunity. So.
Well, things were a little bit different.
Maybe we can hit our bell one more time and go back in time and do it again.
Yeah, we're working on that time machine going the other way. Dick Bergman has that mastered.
It's a fun year, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved it. Great year.
It was a lot of fun. Daryl has to head up to the booth. He'll get back into today's wear.
And we go back
instead of our South Beach look. All right, and Daytona, it began there in February. It's over in Dover. It's been a great year. Surprises, upsets, ejection, rejection, fights, feuds, and that's just us in rehearsal. Here's a look at the Fox season.
Keep your finger open, though.
Gentlemen, start your engine! Boogity!
So it's let's go racing, boys?
Let's go racing, boys! That ain't gonna work, boys!
Say goodnight, Gracie. NASCAR is not going to be happy.
Oh, no! He turns him! No!
Where's the passion? Where's the pride?
Who are these guys?
Hey, I thought there was only one king in NASCAR. Hammond's on the cover of the latest Vague magazine. Did you get that out of Jeff Hammond's closet?
I'm sorry, I'm still struggling with Jeff Hammond's outfit.
We thought it might look like this. You celebrating if you were in victory lane from temperatures in the 80s. So is Dick Berger.
My turn to make the jokes. Chris is so old, even his toupee is going bald.
Can I borrow that? I'd like to...
I would mess my hair up. I'm with a slumdog and a millionaire.
It's been a pleasure and a privilege to bring you the race each week.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's, is sponsored by Sprint. NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. It'll change the way you experience the race.
You're going to follow me all the way out.
This is your 5 minutes of fame.
You're going to follow me all the way out there.
Oh, just for part of the way.
That is Lance McGrew, who's actually teaming with Brian Whitesell today as the combination crew chief for the 88 team, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. given the change at Hendrick Motorsports, and then Lance to take over with Jeff Hammond. Chris Myers in the Hollywood Hotel getting you ready. Immense pressure on him. So what can they do today for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get them going in the right direction?
Hopefully, just nothing else. Get them competitive, Chris. That's the main thing right now. This team right now has not been competitive recently, and if they can just get up there, hang on the lead lap, and be around at the end, battling for the 10, it'd be great.
Well, the last 12 Dover spring races, we've had 12 different winners. Who will be the lucky 13 today?
Joining me on stage is the Military District of Washington Armed Forces Color Guard, and here for our invocation is Reverend Dan Schaefer, pastor of the Calvary Assembly God of Hightstown, New Jersey.
Shall we pray? Almighty God, we pause this day to thank you for Dover International Speedway. We thank you for the teams, we thank you for the sponsors, and most important, we thank you for this great country in which we live, the United States of America. We thank you for our military, each branch, and we pray for them today around the world as they serve this country and keep us safe. So now we ask you, as we always ask you, for a great race. May we have a safe race. We pray in Christ's name. Amen. Shalom.
And now for our national anthem, please remain standing as seen on CMT and GAC and heard on country music radio stations around the country. Here is Black River Music Group recording artist Sarah Darling for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The driver is ready. Great crowd on hand and terrific weather. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Tony Stewart second in points, hoping to roll through the Monster Mile. We'll start the race here in just a few moments. 400 miles in Dover, Delaware, with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers getting a look at the drivers ready to roll. Let's check on the Verizon checklist for this track and this race.
Well, I think right now we have to take a look at this racetrack, folks. It's got no rubber on it, so first thing you got to do, you got to manage your tires. You can wear these right fronts or right rears out real easy, so managing your tires early on is going to be real important. Then you got to be able to manage pit road. Even though they've made this thing wider, it doesn't necessarily mean it's made it easier. Getting down on pit road is still going to be tricky. You can get caught speeding, and everybody thinks they're going to be able to make up some time here, even though you got a maybe not a desirable pit box. Watch pit road. Last but not least, you got to manage the madness. It's going to be real easy to get upset. It's going to be easy to get kind of mad because you get into lap traffic, so you've got to learn how to control your emotions to be able to be around here at the end of these 400 miles. They're going to be fast, and they're going to be furious.
A guy, an emotional driver and successful, Kyle Busch, in the 18 car. He's already won 3 times this year. What about his mentality on this track and this race?
I think right now he is so frustrated because he's gotten so close to winning some races recently to only have something go wrong. So he can kind of like keep it cool, look for this kid to be up front challenging early.
We're waiting for Carl Edwards to win a race this year. How about here? He has 5 straight top 3 finishes, and also his teammate.
It's a great
Greg Biffle's
racetrack
run well.
for Roush Fenway, so I think he, along with his teammate Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth, don't forget, they put on an awesome battle here in the fall. That 99, I'm telling you, he is looking to get up front big time today.
Now, Jeff, it did rain earlier this morning. We're good weather-wise. Will we see a competition call by NASCAR early in the race?
That's the one thing when I say manage your tires. They're going to have a competition caution at lap 30, but you can come down and get tires anytime before that, but you can't put fuel in the car. So we know there's going to be everybody on pit road on lap 30.
So we'll see if the change for Junior will change on the racetrack. Let's head down once again for opening ceremonies here in Dover, Delaware.
Now for the most famous words in auto racing, representing all those that have been touched by autism, please welcome Larry Oliveri.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
The Autism Speaks 400 on Fox. NASCAR on Fox, our final race of this season. Sit back, relax, and enjoy with us. We're glad you're here.
Jeff Gordon at the ready. He will start from the back after crashing in qualifying. We're set to go with NASCAR on Fox at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. Nice crowd settling in. It'll be 100,000 plus. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip. 9 years as cellmates. We've enjoyed every minute of it. Our final broadcast of the season, and I think the race we're going to see will make it a memorable one. And the big reason, Mother Nature. She had our way with us in Charlotte for a couple of days, but this morning, very early, severe thunderstorms to the south of here, a lot of rain on the racetrack. And Darrell, again, for the third time this weekend, we've got a green racetrack to deal with.
And that creates such tire problems. And the last thing you want to tell your driver as you buckle him in that car is, hey, dude, take it easy. We got a little thing going on with the tires. They're wearing out. The reason they're wearing out is this track is like sandpaper. And about the time we get the rough edges knocked off of it, it rains. And here we go again. We got to build all those crevices back up with rubber. So that's the problem you got. They got a mandatory caution at 30 laps. That'll help a whole lot. Take a look at these things and see what we got here.
Larry, unlike the two races yesterday, which had a limited tire allotment, you can have all the tires you want, but how do you manage a green racetrack like this today?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the spotters and the crew chiefs. They're going to have to stay on these drivers in the beginning, and we saw it in practice yesterday where a lot of them have moved to the top of the racetrack. The wear is going to be greater because there's not as much rubber at the top as the bottom. Dale Earnhardt Jr. told Lance McGrew, if I get a half a lane off the bottom, get on me. Get me back down to the bottom of the racetrack. You heard Jeff Hammond talk about the competition caution at lap 30. If we have a caution before that, I think you'll see pit road, a very crowded place, going ahead and changing tires to get that first look at them in this race.
So settle in for a little different kind of a Dover race than maybe we've seen in the past, but it will be an exciting one. Here is your starting lineup for today's race. David Rudiman, second pole of the year. Casey Kane on the outside. Juan Pablo Montoya has been fast all weekend. How about Reed Sorensen? All the Richard Petty Motorsports cars will start today in the top 10. And as you look through the starting lineup, Darrell's on the phone.
David Rudiman, it's DW here. You got a copy of my man?
Yeah, I got you, DW.
All right, you're on the pole. That's right. That's the best place to start. Can you stay there today?
I sure hope so, boss. We got a pretty good Airstream machine off the trailer, and it's gonna have to be smart today. And wise man once told me, don't beat yourself. So we're gonna try not to do that today and be careful.
Are you worried about the tire situation, David? What were your tires like in practice?
Awesome wear, in the first practice, but for the most part, the tires were pretty good. So, we're just going to try to, we'll make it to the first competition yellow. I know Goodyear's brought us a good tire here, and I think we'll be fine once track gets just rubbered in a little bit. But they looked a little rough, but not too bad.
And finally, what is DW's golden rule?
Don't beat yourself.
Roger that.
We are ready to make it a great race day with the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, great American lager. There is Casey Kane starting outside pole, his best start since he won the pole last year out at Infineon.
Let's take a look at our FedEx Understanding the Race. And what this is the patterns or trends that crew chiefs have looked at over the last 8 Spring Dover races that's been on NASCAR on Fox. First caution, average lap 16. 4 times it's been before lap 15. The longest green flag run, average 123 laps, which we normally always have at least 1 green flag pit stop here. The last caution, lap 342, but 6 out of the 8 last races, we've had one within the last 50 laps, and cars on the lead lap, average of 12. The big goal, stay on the lead lap and then race hard for those last 50 laps.
Let's get down for the final pre-race hit of this season from our NASCAR on Fox All-Star Pit crew. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, a long-running storyline here at Dover has a new chapter. Jeff Hammond touched on the new pit roads. Yes, we've got wider traffic lanes and longer, deeper pit boxes, but that's also created possibly some newer issues. Now, Chad Canales chose pit box 43, the first stall off turn 4. Jimmy Johnson says his biggest concern today is deceleration point and allowing the car behind him to know exactly when he's going to hit pit road. To Dick Berggren.
Greg Biffle has a terrific Sprint Cup racing record here at Dover, Delaware. His last 3 starts, he has finished first, second, and third. During practice, he said the car has been even better than it was last year when he won the race. Let's go to Chris Devoda.
After that long race at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Ryan Newman and his crew chief Tony Gibson went fishing. Ryan caught the biggest fish, Tony caught the most. It's that friendly rivalry that makes them so strong. They are fishing for Ryan's 4th win at this track. Steve?
Well, Krista, Matt Kenseth made his very first start here in 1998. He says it's his favorite track. It compares to nothing on the Sprint Cup circuit. But the key today, be careful. As Jeff Hammond said, save those tires, be conservative.
Thanks, folks. Have a great race. Sunny skies ready to roll in Dover, Delaware for 400 miles. This has been the site of some strangely interesting races. September 1978, J.D. McDuffie, journeyman driver, wins his only career pole on a set of super sticky McCreary tires. They wore out in 6 laps. May 1981, Cale Yarborough has the lead of several laps. Blows up late in the race. Neil Bonnet assumes the lead. He has the margin on the field. Blows up, and the scoreboard stands motionless for a long time until rookie Jody Ridley, driving for the Virginia gentleman Junie Donlevy, scores their only career win. This is a track full of surprises.
Well, DW, for the final time in 2009, buddy, in honor of all of our NASCAR fans, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
All right, Mr. Ruderman and Mr. Newman, let's hold it down. Let's be nice, or Mr. Kane, let's be nice to each other. Let's be nice. Green flag out. Boogity, boogity, boogity. See you in Daytona, boys, because it's over and over for us.
3 wide, and look who it is, Kyle Busch, right up on the outside, right away, just as he did in yesterday's truck race. Trying to fight his way to the front in a hurry. But it's Ruderman and Montoya who will fight for the lead on lap 1.
And Montoya was one of the ones I was talking about. He worked the high groove all day yesterday. Talked to his spotter, Tab Boyd. Said, I know I have to work on Montoya to keep him on the bottom for tire wear's sake.
How's that working so far?
Well, he's going for the lead.
Right.
I'll get to the bottom when I get to the front.
Let's get to the bottom of this. Maybe in turn 3. Ruderman led the first lap, got his 5 bonus points. Look who's right with them, Reed Sorensen.
Yeah, that's David's first lap, and he's led here at Dover in the Cup Series.
Montoya, a winner in Formula One, a winner in the Indy 500, and trying to become a winner in NASCAR. He has been fast all weekend in that Target Chevy.
He has, and I just think great things are going to happen for Montoya as we go down the road here the rest of this year.
Ruderman wants the lead back.
Boy, he does, and he's after it.
Montoya will lead that lap. Remember, gets those 5 bonus points for leading the lap. DW said it in the gas and go. He's the man that makes the chase, the biggest surprise in 2009.
Now it's a foursome. Greg Biffle in the 16 joins the fight for the lead as Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson close in on this battle. Montoya high, Ruderman low.
I mean, look at this battle for the lead. Side by side, they're almost 2 by 2.
I think what they're trying to do, they know the tires aren't going to last very long, so they're going to use the heck out of them while they're good.
While we got them.
Use them while you got them. And here goes
comes
David.
Sorensen. He's got a run behind Ruderman. That moves Montoya back to 3rd. Reed Sorensen has not yet led a lap in 2009.
But boy, he is. I think he's going to today, Mike, because that car is jumping up off the corner.
It just flies through the middle.
Darrell, you said last week maybe somebody needs to light a fire under Reed. I think somebody did.
I think they may have. You know, I know he has a lot of talent, and this team is obviously very good here this weekend. All the Ganassi teams, or all the Gillette teams are running great this weekend.
Look at the battle for 3rd over there on the right-hand side of your screen. You talk about a goal today with Kyle Busch, the defending champion of this race, led the most laps in the truck race and the Nationwide Series race, did not win neither one simply because of tire issues in both races.
Casey Kane right in the middle of that pack. He's in 7th place. Montoya backsliding just a little bit here. Biffle alongside. Biffle, Kane, and Edwards lined up on the bottom.
I think everybody right now, I think they're just trying to get to that 30-lap pit stop, just for security's sake. Man, you don't want to take yourself out of the race right here early on before you get started good.
Well, we're definitely riding with one of the biggest movers. Carl Edwards in this 99 car started just outside the top 10 and 13th. He's made his way now to 8th.
Biffle got tired of being a bottom feeder, went to the high side and passed Montoya.
Well, Mike,
his Ford up to 5th.
Well, there is a lot of grip up high. But again, I think like Larry said, these guys know when they get up there, it's just going to increase tire wear quicker than if they kind of hang the bottom right now. What little rubber's been put down is right around the bottom, so you need to take care of the tires and use that right now.
Remember, Jeff Gordon started 42nd. He has gained 10 positions. Crashed in qualifying. This is a backup car. And he's climbed 10 spots since the start of the race. Pulling up on Robbie Gordon, David Reagan, and Michael Waltrip, all side by side right in front of him.
Now, you know, Jeff had a really bad accident here in qualifying. And with a guy, when you have back trouble, this place loads the backup probably as much as anywhere we go. So much banking here, so much force down in the corners that it's going to be hard for Jeff. If he's got back problems, it's going to come out today.
For 12th, the best qualified of the Penske cars, Sam Hornish, 77. With Denny Hamlin, who logged almost 80 laps of practice in the final session yesterday, and 39, Ryan Newman.
And he was fast in practice, the 11, Denny Hamlin. There goes Carl Edwards in the 99. He goes around Casey Kane. That was for 7th position. Just real quick, back to Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. Another Gordon that's been running with him, making up a lot of ground as Robbie Gordon started 40th. He's up to 30th.
Pat Yoakum.
Mike, Jimmy Johnson says his car's a little bit on the free side, and going back to practice when we had a green racetrack, teams were battling porting on the right rear just due to the green racetrack, just chewing up those tires. So basically, Jimmy says he's going to be patient, just going to ride, give him what the track and race car will give him until that competition caution. Dick Berggren.
I talked to Greg Biffle just before the start of the race about tires and his strategy for the first 30 laps. Biffle's strategy, run as hard as he could possibly drive that car. Yesterday, they put 40 laps on a set of tires. They had no problems whatsoever. Biffle on the gas.
But that was yesterday before it rained this morning. So, but the other thing, Mike Larry, the way they crab these cars, the way the rear ends are cocked in these cars now, you're going to wear the right rear tire out. I mean, you got a lot of banking in the turns here. Even the straightaways are banked. So you're going to use that right rear up.
15 laps complete this time by. Competition caution coming at lap 30.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by McDonald's and sponsored by Toyota. Moving forward. By Ask.com. Where do NASCAR fans get answers? Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. And by Sprint, NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. It'll change the way you experience the race.
22 laps complete. David Rudiman leading. Reed Sorensen, who is closing to within a car length of Rudiman for the lead. Here's a question from Ask.com, official search engine of NASCAR. How common is autism in children? Go to Ask.com for the answer, and you can help support the fight to understand the cause of and find a cure for autism. There's the Autism Speaks paint scheme on Bobby Labonte's Ask.com 4.
I tell you, I'm watching Reed Sorensen in the 43 get after our leader here. You know, I bet he's sitting there, Reed's sitting there thinking, you know, Rudiman, you won your first race. Brad Keselowski won his first race. I need a win. I'd like to get my first win.
And you know what, Darrell? We've had 12 races this year with 8 different winners. I have a feeling we're going to have that 9th different winner today.
Let's go to the pit of the Peachtree City, Georgia driver. Here's Krista.
And Mike, it's like Reed Sorensen is listening to you guys in the booth. You talked about lighting a fire underneath him. He and the team, his crew chief Mike Shiplett, his spotter Keith Barnwell, talking about Reed. This is our best track position of the year, our best pit stall of the year. Let's make the most of this opportunity. Reed in the Air Force machine is on board.
Keep in mind, the last 12 spring races at Dover have been won by 12 different drivers. And in the last 19 years of the spring race here, we've only had one repeat winner, Jeff Gordon.
You know, one guy that got his first career win and his only win was that one car right there, Martin Truex Jr., a couple of years ago. Martin, he was very fast when the track opened for practice. Boy, Kurt Busch has had his hands full in that too. But Martin started 15th, and he has moved to the top 10 and 8th. And another car that is moving forward is that 2 car of Kurt Busch. But Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 starting to go backwards now. But we're within about 4 or 5 laps of that competition caution.
The thing about this year, though, it's kind of odd. You think about it. Mike Bliss, he wins at the nationwide race at Charlotte. in James Finch's car. James is a very independent guy, no really affiliation with Cup car. Yesterday we had a first-time winner in the Camping World Series, Truck Series yesterday. Every time you turn around, it seems like we're having first-time pole winners, first-time race winners. Very unusual year for that.
Yeah, attaboy for Brian Scott, who took that Albertsons truck to victory lane. Jeff Gordon and Joey Logano here are discussing a position.
Logano got a little loose getting down in there. I'm thinking, you know why? I bet he was looking back. When you see Jeff Gordon behind you, whoa, here we go.
We had a three-way battle for the lead. Reed Sorensen got up beside Rudeman in the 0-0. Biffle said, boys, I want this lead.
Sorensen's trying to lead this lap, and he's got it.
He's got it.
Biffle got loose off the corner on the bottom.
And that's the first lap that Reed Sorensen has led in 2009.
Attaboy. Three different leaders in this race. Here's how it came about.
Looked like David got a little loose. Allowed Reed to get a fender. Whoa, you got it real loose right there. Reed gets a run on him, goes down, and that broke the momentum of the 0-0 in the 43, and it gave Biffle a chance to try to make a pass here, but the 43 is so strong up off the corner.
Here they come again. Biffle on the bottom. Sorensen up top. Now one more lap before NASCAR waves the competition yellow, and it looks like everybody.
Roll out easy. Roll out easy.
Everybody ran these 30 laps just as hard as they could to check tire wear now.
If there was a concern, I didn't see it. It wasn't amongst the drivers, maybe in the pits.
But I'm going to tell you, there's a huge relief on a lot of people's cars back there because there were several just about to go a lap down.
Tony Raines made a pit stop under green. He is the only car laps down. He'll be the free pass recipient.
Great start to this race. I mean, we had racing error at the start between Rudeman and Montoya. Now we had the 16 and the 0-0 and the 43. This is some good stuff, guys. And now we got a brand new pit road. We're going to get to try out for the first time.
The pit stalls at Dover have been lengthened. Pit road has been widened as part of the capital improvement plan. And up there at the south end, at the top of your screen, an extra pit stall has been added. We now have 43 pit stalls, an extended pit wall, and that should make pit road a better place to work for everybody.
Well, it's going to be a busy place right now. I will guarantee you they are all on the apron headed to pit road.
Here they come. Matt.
Three-time winner Jimmy Johnson first to hit his box, stall number 43. They're going to make a slight chassis adjustment. Jimmy said the car, although loose, Chad Canals thinks the racetrack will take more and more rubber. It will come more to them, so he didn't want to take a big swing at it this early on. Dick Berggren.
Craig Biffle started in the 5th position. He has motored all the way to the 2nd spot. Car just a little bit tight, and the driver has called for the adjustment. Krista.
Reed Sorensen and his crew, you can tell they are stoked, they are psyched. They are not used to being up front. They want to make the most of it. Tight in the center, loose off. David Rudeman also extremely loose. They are making an adjustment. David Rudeman, you see him going around on the left side to help his loose condition.
Well, I pretty much saw everybody change 4 tires with the exception of that 19 car. Elliott Sadler went with 2 right sides. He's going to leave pit road with the lead.
And oh, by the way, several drivers, 6 of them stayed out and did not pit under this caution. We're ready for our Claret & Clear to drive restart. Live Claret & Clear indoors and out. David Gilliland led a lap under caution before he pitted, and now Elliott Sadler, who started 18th before he pitted, he has climbed up with a 2-tire change into the lead, but he'll battle Greg Biffle for that lead in turn 1.
I don't think it'll be a battle for long. I just think right now 4 tires will prevail. Elliott had actually fallen back from his 10th place starting spot. They decided to go with just 2 right side tires on that stop. Everyone else changed 4 that I could see.
Really bad strategy, in my opinion.
The good thing is, Darrell, they've got 365 laps to undo it.
Yeah, but they only got about 35 or 40 before they go a lap down.
Here comes Sorensen once again. Boy, he's been the bright spot today. And Kurt Busch in the Miller Lite number 2 to the inside.
And I'm not trying to beat those guys up, Mike, but when you know you got a little bit of a tire issue, you should take 4 and be safe.
Because the tire issue in the 2 races yesterday, we saw lefts and we saw rights with issues.
Exactly.
Jimmy Johnson hunting the lead as they head for turn 3.
Well, that's the car everybody in the garage put their money on. They said he's the cat to beat. Car's fast, consistent. And when you can come off the bottom, when you can come off turn 4 underneath somebody like he's doing right there alongside the 16 of Biffle, you got an awesome race car.
With the car working the high side, it just takes a little bit to finally prevail on the bottom because you get such a good run in that second groove.
Well, the banking just dumps you, and it dumps you right out into the car beside of you if you're not careful, and that's where you get in trouble.
6th place battle on the right of your screen. Edwards and Sorensen. Kyle Busch comes up to join the battle for the lead. That makes 4 cars chasing the front spot with Rudeman and Busch.
You know, think about David Rudeman. He wins his first race on Monday. He wins the pole on Friday. He just led his first laps here at Dover, running 3rd right now. What a great week for that team.
And you know, Darrell, you and I were talking the other day. I don't think we made enough of the fact that he's one of a few drivers to win races in all 3 top series, Sprint Cup, Nationwide, and the Camping World Truck Series.
Yes, sir.
We mentioned David Gilliland led a lap under caution, but his Chevy's had some trouble. He has gone to the garage.
There's Elliott Sadler. He has fallen back to the 14th spot since that restart. He's going to be one of those cars that's going to love to see a caution, I think, before too awfully long. See Casey Mears there in the 07 car. Definitely been one of the fastest of the Richard Childress cars here all weekend.
Qualified and practiced very well. And Denny Hamlin, who logged all those practice laps trying to find a winning setup for the day. It's been a while since Hamlin's been to victory lane.
You know, one thing we could hear just a second ago riding with Denny Hamlin when Casey Mears had him pinned down is you have to get out of the throttle. The car just won't stick there. Only way you make it stick is slow the speed of the car down.
You actually work the throttle here probably more than any other racetrack we go to, almost like you're racing on dirt. That's how hard it is to get good traction up off these corners.
Dave Blaney. Blaney has taken his Toyota to the garage after 43 laps. Here's Edwards, has a run on Kyle Busch coming up off turn 2. Kyle has now led the most laps, been in a position to win in 4 straight races, and failed to close the deal.
Yellow's out.
37 car just blew the heck out of the right front tire.
Tony Raines. And that tire took the fender and everything.
Now he was on pit road earlier. He didn't come in. I don't know if he came in on lap 30.
He did not. The last time he was on pit road was lap 15.
Yeah, he came in early under green, took tires. Apparently
take it to the garage.
Stayed out a little bit too long.
Raines, the only driver on track, laps down, so there will be no free pass.
You'll see him come along. He's by himself, and it just shatters the right front.
Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, David Rudeman are your leaders in Dover after 44 laps. This is NASCAR on Fox. Greg Biffle is the most recent of 6 different leaders. Watching the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented on Fox by McDonald's. Now, you went in the way forward machine to Homestead during pre-race. Go in the Wayback Machine for today's Aflac trivia question. Who was the last driver to win back-to-back Dover spring races? I'm gonna let you crank up the Wayback Machine and think on that one for a little while.
You got to go way back, I think.
Yes, you do.
Our top 15 cars actually stayed on the racetrack. Everyone else came to pit road. Mark Martin in the 5 car had to make a second stop because of contact on pit road. He's going to restart back in the 35th position.
Tell you another thing that some of these teams might be doing, and Mark might be one of them. Put 3 or 4 laps on a set of tires, kind of buff them in, take them off, put another set of stickers on, and save those for later on. It kind of helps cure the tire out a little bit more. Might be something useful later on in the race.
We'll give you a little clue for our Aflac question. He might be at today's race, but he's not in today's race. Ready to go green with our Claret and Clear to Drive restart. Get Claret and Clear. Get back to feeling like yourself again. Pace car is in, and Greg Biffle with Jimmy Johnson, David Rudeman, Kurt Busch, and Casey Kane will lead them down to the start. Jeff Gordon is up to 14th after all that. Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 22nd, back to 28th.
Boy, Ryan Newman on 2 different restarts here has really made a huge jump to the outside and been able to pass a couple of cars by surprise. Saw him do that the last restart, just did it again.
You can see the speeds building halfway down the back straightaway, already close to 170 miles per hour off into turn 3.
And for the lead, here comes Jimmy Johnson on the outside of Biffle.
Powers by.
Got him.
Well, he couldn't do it on the bottom a while ago, so heck, I'm going to try it on the high side.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Biffle said the pace is just more than he is comfortable with. They're going too hard, too early in this event. And if the pace keeps going as hard as it is, Biffle's going to try to conserve his stuff for later.
Boy, I never thought I'd hear Greg Biffle say that. I mean, he is a hard charger.
Action speaks louder than words, though.
I mean, you talk about conservation, you think, you know, Ward Burton and his Wildlife Society and everything he's doing out in the woods there. You don't think of Greg Biffle.
No, I think more of Mark Martin or maybe Matt Kenseth or some of those guys, but Greg Biffle's usually just knocking the fence down.
Casey Kane in that 9 car, his car just walked up the racetrack in 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. moved by him to move into the top 5.
Boy, a bunch of these cars there, I've watched them after these couple of pit stops. I don't know what they're doing to them, but they're going backwards. A lot of them are cars that were good on the start.
We're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car, started in the 22nd position. He was one of the cars that made the pit stop on that last caution. Right now, he is in the 29th position.
Now just in front of him, Brian Vickers in the 83. Matt?
Brian Vickers, Mike, has been on both sides of the fence. The first run, he was really loose, especially when he tried to get back in the gas. They made an air pressure and track bar adjustment, but then it swung it the opposite. Then the car was extremely tight, so he pitted to try to reverse those adjustments to get the car a little back toward the middle as far as bounce goes. Steve?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s report is, I'm sliding the nose to the center. I'm tight. I can't do anything with the car in front of me. Now, before the competition yellow, Jeff Gordon was concerned about his right front tire, but since the pit stops, the team has reported the tire looks good. He's had a good progression from 42nd up inside the top 20.
And Mike, I don't reckon there's any racetrack on the circuit that's more edgy to drive than this place is. When you saw Jeff Gordon qualifying yesterday, when you see his car just coming up off the corner and just all of a sudden snaps, and that's the feeling you have as you ride around this joint. It's just like you're on the edge all the time.
After Charlotte, Scott Riggs and car owner Tommy Baldwin parted company by mutual agreement. Mike Skinner is the new driver of the 36. Skinner raced the first 52 laps, and now he has pulled the Shea Trucking Toyota into the garage. Krista.
When Kyle Busch came in on his first pit stop, lap 30, he said, my car is all over the place. Specifically, when he gets under throttle, he is loose from the center off as soon as he gets in the gas. That is why they came back in on lap 45 to make a wedge adjustment. He is still fighting a little bit loose in the center.
And Krista, that's the challenge here, trying to put power down. Because when you come off the banking, you come up the hill onto the straightaway, the car wants to leap up in the air almost as it exits these corners. You get a lot of rear wheel spin, and that even adds to wearing out the right rear tire.
Yeah, the car gets light when you lunge up on that straightaway, and as you said, Darrell, the rear wheels almost come up off the ground.
It really chops down off the corner. Be careful.
A.J. Allmendinger there in the 44 car, another one of those Richard Petty Motorsports car, had a great qualifying run, qualified 7th. Right now he's in 13th. Is Carl Edwards in that 99, one of the cars that came to pit road on lap 45, working his way back to the front.
And right with Edwards is Clint Boyer for Richard Childress Racing.
I know we had a great start, but right now, I never, all these cars are pretty evil looking right now. And this little group right here, they're just trying to push each other into the wall because they've been bumping and banging. Martin just put the bumper to Logano into 20. Here goes Jeff Burton on the inside by him. Well, they're racing hard for 31st spot.
Well, remember, Mark Martin had to come back to pit road, restarted back in 35th, and Darrell, as close as the competition is, when you restart 35th, it won't be long. That spot will be saying leader straight away behind you.
Oh, yeah, you can go. I've been here before when you go a lap down so quick. Terry Labonte one time, I got lapped several times during the race here, and Terry Labonte called in and said, guys, let me ask you a question. How many 17 cars are in this race anyway?
All right, 60 laps complete in Dover, Delaware, and the Autism Speaks 400 presented by Heluva Good.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's, is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
Jimmy Johnson leads Greg Biffle by 9/10 of a second at 67 laps. Pole sitter David Ruderman 2.2 seconds off the lead. Casey Kane 4.5 back, and Kurt Busch 5.3 seconds down to the race leader. We've completed 68 laps. The last driver to win back-to-back spring races at Dover is tied for the all-time win mark at this track with Richard Petty. It's Bobby Allison, 1982 and 83. In all, Bobby's led 2,800 laps here. That's 800 more laps than the second place all-time lap leader, Jeff Gordon.
Bobby Allison loved this place, man. He had come here and he was the man to beat. You know, I was watching, we were riding along there a minute ago with Casey Kane, and remember in practice, we rode along with him a little bit and talked about how comfortable he looked and how well his car looked like it was handling. Well, guess what? He looks very comfortable and he's handling very, very well.
And I think where he's running supports it. He's still up there in the top 5 and 4th.
Car looks very manageable. He's not fighting the wheel, easing down in there, and he doesn't look at his hands. It's kind of nice and loose on the wheel, like what I'm seeing with that 9 car, boys.
But you can see how he has to play with that throttle right there. You almost are all the way up on the straightaway before you're able just to nail the throttle and be 100%.
Guys that run good here, Larry, they always rolled into the corner, matted it for a little ways through the center of the corner, lifted a little bit to get off the corner, and then matted it once they got up on the straightaway. That's kind of how you always run here.
Here's the 8th place race. Jamie McMurray, another driver who has run very well historically at this racetrack with Denny Hamlin and Carl Edwards. Oh, that hole closed up in a hurry, didn't it?
And that's typical Dover.
That's right. Just take your time. You'll get him. Drive right around him.
The car wants to lunge to the wall as you drive up that hill that Darrell was talking about up onto the straightaway.
And you heard Jamie's engine when he came off the corner. You could hear the engine actually rev up a little bit. That's wheel spin.
Look at this pack. Montoya leading, Robbie Gordon, Dale Jr., and David Reagan. They have been swapping positions and lanes at will in this pack for the last couple of laps.
Remember what I said a while ago? Spotter comes in your ear and says, leader on the same straightaway. This is becoming a desperate group of race cars because Jimmy Johnson, when he's coming off turn 2, this group is going into turn 3.
And to no surprise, the car highest up the racetrack in that group is Robbie Gordon, running it high and wide.
Well, that group there, that's where they're not even thinking about tire wear now. They're just thinking about hopefully a caution coming out where you can see the gap back to the 48 car.
Right now it's survival. You just do all you can do, and we got a lot of, they're spread out near the front, but boy, when you get back in here from about 20th on back, it's a dog fight. Burns.
ADW, Kurt Busch has gone from 19th to 5th. He just told Pat Tryson the car is better with the brake fans off. Tryson didn't hesitate. He said, turn them back on. Be careful.
Well, these things have a blower on each front tire, in some cases every tire, and they can cut those blowers off and on particular tires to change the handling characteristics. But the problem is when you cut a blower off, you're gaining more heat in that tire, and you could be stepping across the durability with it.
Yeah, and a concrete racetrack with the expansion joints in it, where you go bumpity bump like a concrete highway, you build up more air pressure in the right side tires here than anywhere else we go. So it might feel better with the blowers off for a little while, but it won't feel better with them off for very long.
I think that's what Pat Tryson was thinking.
Jimmy Johnson with a lead of 0.8 of a second, and Matt, that lead stayed pretty stable over these last dozen or so laps.
He has set into a pace that's good and comfortable for him. He is keeping check, and now it's updated just as how this racetrack continues to change. This is right now on their next stop. He wants to work a little bit on the center of the corner, but other than that, he says the car very solid and secure, and it shows on the racetrack.
28 consecutive laps under green since the last caution period. When will we start being concerned? Well, we'll let you know after this.
Get the checkered flag ready. I'm going to victory lane. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Welcome back to Dover. Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle, David Rudeman, Casey Kane. There's your leader.
He is digging, baby. He's lapping this field, I can tell you that. He's already put several guys down.
Here's your Cobalt Performance Report on Jimmy Johnson, who started 8th and is one of 7 different leaders of this race. Visit LowesRacing.com to see and hear members of the 48 pit crew share their thoughts on the Cobalt tools in their toolbox.
You know, that 48 car, Mike, Larry, might be one of the few cars that when people say after practice he's the guy to beat, he always backs it up.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see guys that practice pretty well and you say, man, that car looks good, keep an eye on him. Doesn't always perform like you expect it to, but that thing, when it's good, it's good.
6th place, Carl Edwards, moving ahead of the 2007 winner, Martin Truex Jr. And a lot in the news this week about Truex's future. He held a press conference to say nothing other than in about 2 or 3 weeks everything should fall into place, and he made it very clear that he was looking for a long-term contract to solidify his racing future. Will he stay at Earnhardt Ganassi? Might he go elsewhere?
Yeah, well,
we'll find out.
Just remember, Mike, this sport's pretty notorious for not about what you say, but what you don't say.
Yeah. Well, even though this is the first year for that merger between Earnhardt and Ganassi, you know, Martin Truex Jr. has been in this one car for about 4 years now. And honestly, I think Martin feels like he's hit the ceiling with this car. It's time for a change, and I really believe he's going to be announcing that he will be moving on for 2010.
We're not sure where he's headed, but he knew know that his brother works for a different race team than he does at present.
Just a little tight in the center, Bob.
Let's move ahead to Carl Edwards. 6th place, 9 seconds off the lead. Who would have thought that we would end the NASCAR on Fox half of the race to the chase without Carl Edwards having a number other than 0 in that win column?
No, I wouldn't have thought that. But I will say this about that. He could change that today because his car, even though he's not challenging for the lead right now, his car looks very, very comfortable.
Remember, Roush Fenway won the very first 2 races of 2009. Matt Kenseth won at Daytona and Auto Club Speedway. They've been shut out in the Sprint Cup Series as far as wins in 2009 since then.
And Carl got a 4th place finish last week at Charlotte, but, you know, at Lowe's, but mainly because of the weather.
You saw Kurt Busch in 5th. And here is Casey Kane running in 4th. Dick?
And there's a lot of newness with that number 9 car, Mike. He started in the 2nd position, currently running in the 4th spot. It is a brand new car. They built it to be much lighter and with all the very best technology. The engine under the hood, the newest Dodge engine. They say no more horsepower than the older engine at this point, but a different torque curve. Kane said it feels like he's driving a sprint car off the corner. Krista.
A little bit of a moment of panic in the 00 when David Rudeman started to slide around. They said, whoa, 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 hold your groove. David said, it's okay. I'm just kind of checking out some new lines. He will need some adjustments, though, when he comes back in.
But you know, Mike and Darrell, a lot of those cars that stayed out on that 2nd caution at lap 44, like David Rudeman, like Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, they're within about 20 laps of what will have to be green flag pit stops since they did stay out. But we, you know, if you go back to our FedEx understanding the race, we always get the long green flag runs here. It's like we seem to have a couple of cautions early, and then we always get into a green flag cycle of pit stops.
Right, Larry. 10 of the top 12 drivers did not stop at lap 45. The exceptions, Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch.
You know, Larry, we've been talking about Childers quite often about the struggles they've been having. But right now, if you look on our scoring monitor, Clint Boyer running in 9th place, and the car's running pretty well right now.
Steve?
Well, Clint Boyer just got some advice from his spotter, Mike Dillon, that sounded like we were back at Rockingham or Darlington years ago. Mike Dillon told Clint, hey, when you come off the corners, treat that gas pedal like there's an egg underneath it.
That's basic. I mean, that's great advice because you just can't mat a car. You got 850 horsepower. You got a pretty narrow tire. Let's watch him. The thing to keep an eye on is how much is he cranking that wheel to the left? Looks pretty like not a loose race car at all, and that's what you can't stand here. You can't have that wheel going back to the right.
A little loose still.
Not much, buddy. You look pretty solid.
And you know what's amazing, Darrell, is you actually have to turn the car to the right down these straightaways. The straightaways are banked 9 degrees at this place.
Yeah, you actually hold the car up in the track here on the straightaway.
Let's have a look at Mark Martin. Mark started 28th, Larry, and he's now just taken over 13th.
But remember, he restarted back in 35th because of having to come back to pit road for damage under that last caution. And you're right. I think he's going to need a caution to get caught back up. But if we get into those green flag pit stops, Mark Martin's one of the cars, he'll have more laps to be able to run.
And watch old school. Takes that right hand, throws it over there next to that left one. A lot of these younger drivers, they always talk about their car won't turn. They need to watch Mark Martin. It'll turn if you crank that wheel on around there.
Mark Martin, the quickest car on the racetrack right now.
Michael Waltrip, the 55 car, coming to pit road.
Yeah, he was struggling, Larry. Got lapped. Car just couldn't get off of either corner.
And this is early because he was actually one of the cars that pitted on lap 45.
At the back of the pack, Mike Bliss has gone to the garage area. We mentioned Mike Skinner. Joe Nemechek went in and came back out, as did Dave Blaney. Jimmy Johnson, your leader by 0.6 of a second.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, your world delivered. By the new Kentucky Grilled Chicken, taste the unfried side of KFC. And by FedEx Racing, we understand every day is race day. Glad you're with us from Dover, Delaware. Jimmy Johnson, your leader, 4th straight Dover race. He's been out in front. Time for an AT&T race break. We've had 7 leaders already. You know, last year in this event, a total of 9 leaders for all 400 miles. And, Jeff, we've had a battle with Greg Biffle, a 2-time winner here, trying to get that first spot.
But watch Greg Biffle. He gives Jimmy Johnson a little love tap right there. Say, hello, buddy. I'm trying to get up through here, too. But because of lap traffic right now, Greg's backed off. He's in behind Regan Smith at 78. But looky here. Again, side by side, on the low side, there's Robbie Gordon in the way. All of these things are helping Jimmy Johnson retain the lead, but it is a big-time battle right now for the lead.
All right, Casey Kane came in moments ago, and David Rudeman, our pole sitter, last week's winner, going in now. Let's check in with Chris Devoda.
Chris, David Rudeman says he is lacking grip in the center. He told his crew, you've got to give me more front grip without messing with my exit because I need to be able to turn out of these corners. 4 tires and just a slight air pressure adjustment in the left rear. That's the call for the 00.
The key thing right now, Chris, is the fact Rodney Childers and I think David Rudeman are on the same page, and his crew is performing flawlessly so far. Hopefully they can make those kind of adjustments. We also see Jimmy Murray coming out. The 2 cars coming down pit road, Steve Burns.
Jeff, Kurt Busch just told Pat Trice, I did something bad, something's wrong, I got to come in. This is 8 laps early, if in fact he comes this time, and he does come down pit road. He had just said moments ago that his setup was good. He's going to get 4 tires, spring rubber in the right rear. Again, 8 laps early on pit road for Kurt Busch.
And the key thing right there, Steve, is the fact that it could take him a little while to get that spring rubber in, and that's going to cost him time on pit road.
And Sam Hornish Jr., who started 12th, also coming in for a quick pit stop. As we take a quick check, Jimmy Johnson leading Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards running 3rd. Let's check on the 42 car and Dick Berger with the latest on Juan Pablo Montoya.
And he has really been looking forward to this pit stop, Chris. This will be a 4-tire change for Montoya. He took 2 on the last pit stop. The car didn't like that at all. It was very, very loose, so they're hoping this is going to solve the check problem.
Chris, the sad part about it has to be the fact the 42 car, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack prior to that 2-tire stop. So it's one of those situations where the 4-tire deal definitely will help this 42 car if he can get back on the lead lap. And it looked like the 96 car, Bobby Labonte, also had trouble on pit road. We talked about managing pit road. He got caught speeding in. Now he's got to pay the penalty coming back down on pit road for a pass-through.
You talked about the wider, improved pit stalls here, but certainly the speeding rules are the same. So up front, Kane, Hornish Jr., even McMurray. How about Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards, the guys we've been watching as Jimmy Johnson continues to maintain his lead.
Well, Carl Edwards, I think he's getting better as the day goes on. As far as Jeff Gordon's concerned, he's continuing to struggle. It's going to take a little bit more work on that race car to get him right before the day is done.
This has been an AT&T race break, and for the fastest pit crew of the year award, you can text the car number from your phone. The fan vote along with Jeff's selection for the winning crew, and your vote counts. Vote each week for the AT&T fastest pit crew of the year award. Mike, of course, his first 2 Dover races, Jimmy Johnson won, but only one top 5 finish in the last 6 as Greg Biffle is having some problems. Let's check in there with Dick Bergman.
Now Martin Truex in for a 4-tire change. His car has not held the racetrack as well as they had hoped that it might. His only win came here at Dover, and they're looking for a repeat this weekend. Biffle, team was also pit. Matt.
Nice transition off the banking for Jimmy Johnson. Hits the first pit stall. Johnson said he wanted help more in the center of the corner. Mike Knauer, the catch can man, making the track bar adjustment. Service already complete on the right side. Silent stop by the Cobalt Tool guys. There's a caution on the racetrack.
Debris in turn 2, Matt. Debris in turn number 2 has put us under caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. Now, this all began about 6 laps ago when John Andretti slid through turn 1, pancaked the wall in turn 2, and then, Larry, I think people started to get a little gun shy and started bringing their teams to pit road under green.
But who had really benefited was those guys that decided to come to pit road under that second caution, like Carl Edwards, like Mark Martin.
Now, this did not bring out a caution when Andretti went straight up and in, but it sure got people on pit road thinking we need to change some tires. So we've had a lot of green flag stops, and some drivers are going to get caught a lap down.
Yeah, the 2 car, I think, was one of the victims of that. He cut a tire down. He came to pit road. A number of cars.
All right, what we have right here, Jimmy Johnson was on pit road when the caution came out. I think he might have possibly stayed on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth was on pit road, but did not go into his pits. He just drove down pit road, so that may have been a big break, a heads-up break for that group.
I believe the 24, the 48, and the 17 all pulled off the same strategy, Larry. They got out before the pace car.
Now, the pace car has picked up Carl Edwards as the leader. Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, and Kyle Busch. Carl being a little playful with the pace car there.
And now guess what will happen, Larry? Who will be leading the race?
Those guys that just barely made it back and stayed on the lead lap.
Now, Jeff Gordon made his stop under green. The caution came out in the middle of that, and we listened in.
3, 2, 1, 4 tires. Sides only, right sides only. Leave on right. We got to beat it to the start finish. Right sides. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. 38. 38. Get all you get. Get all you get. There you go. 38 right there.
Wow.
That was a heads up by Steve Letarte. Now, more than likely, Jeff Gordon will come back to pit road and get lefts, but the good news is he's going to be one of the few cars on the lead lap.
And that's something you practice. You've got to practice that, because a pit crew normally, they just go on about their business. I've heard them do that before, but that group was on it, man. They knew what to do.
It's got to be hard, Larry, to call an audible in the middle of a pit stop and change the game plan.
That's not the first time Steve Letarte has done it. Remember, he did it at Phoenix a couple of years ago. He went ahead and made the pit stop. Oh, they won the race.
But I'm sure, Larry, he will have to come. I'm almost positive he'll come back and get his left side tires.
Yeah, pit road is closed right now. You can see the red flag being waved there.
And Larry, you know something I noticed about this pit road? We're a little concerned about the wall sticking out there and where the commitment cone is and everything else. But the slowest part of the turn here is right in the middle of it. So, I mean, you're really kind of going pretty slow right there, so it's easier to get the cars checked up and actually get on pit road. A lot better than I thought it was going to be.
So let's see who got caught a lap down. Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, David Rudiman, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex perhaps got caught a lap down.
Now remember, we were getting close to green flag pit stops for a lot of cars, even the cars that pitted on lap 45. Remember, I talked about, there you see Kyle Busch as well. Remember, the straightaways are banked here. These two cars are about out of fuel.
That 11 car, Larry, Kenseth, he didn't take fuel either. He's about out of fuel. That 11 car has, they have nightmares about running out of fuel.
There are still 3 cars on the track that have not pitted since lap 32. Denny Hamlin, who we just showed you, Tony Stewart, and Ryan Newman.
And you can see what he's doing there, getting down on the flat because the fuel pickup is in the right rear corner. When you're this slow, you see how much the straightaways make? The fuel is running away from the pickup, so that's the reason he's down there on the flat. And the good news for those guys, pit road is finally open though.
Let's go first to Matt.
Escondido, California's Jeff Gooch Patterson waiting with the gas can, 88 pounds of fuel ready to insert in his 14 car. Stewart said he needed to turn better in the center of the corner, just wasn't cutting like he needed. You can see Scott Rado with the chassis adjustment for Stewart, who hit pit road in third. Steve?
Mark Martin said his car got tight at the end of the run, but don't over-adjust it. Half a round in the right rear and 4 tires. Krista.
Ryan Newman was lacking forward drive. They were extremely close on fuel. The first thing they said when the caution came out, beautiful. Meanwhile, Carl Edwards getting 4 tires. His car was great on Friday, 2-3 on Saturday. They're making a slight air pressure adjustment in the 99 pit.
Brian Vickers will get the free pass as you see the race off pit road. We're going to clear things up as far as who lost a lap under this caution and who did not right after this. Welcome back to NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, presented on Fox by McDonald's. McDonald's race summary: Jimmy Johnson, the leader, 26 cars on the lead lap, 8 leaders, 9 lead changes. And here's how we sort out. On the tail end of the lead lap, starting in front of Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, Rudeman, Kurt Busch, Truex, and McMurray. They're on the tail end of the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson is going to be the 7th car in line on this restart. Jeff Gordon is among those who did get trapped 1 lap down, along with Kevin Harvick, Sam Hornish, and Clint Boyer.
See, this is where they need to wave around in my mind. You know, get the leader back in front where he belongs, have double file restarts, 3 wide down in the corner here. You know, everybody's going to be trying hard to stay in front of that 48 car. But if they'd wave those front cars around, let the leader start up there where he's supposed to, those guys would actually be at the tail end of the lead lap.
And Darrell, that may be one idea under consideration from the Tuesday meetings NASCAR had with the drivers and owners.
Well, what I was going to say, not if, but when they implement the double file restarts, we won't have to explain this anymore.
So Jimmy Johnson, the 48, the low Chevy, is your leader. The cars in front of him are on the tail end of the lead lap. Second place, Carl Edwards. And Scott Speed has gone to the garage.
Really like that 99 car. That thing is on the hunt, man. He's getting ready to stick a nose right up under Jimmy Johnson.
And that is a battle for the lead.
Mark Martin, the 3rd place car.
We've got about 8 or 9 cars that would love to see a caution right now. They'd be back on the lead lap.
Running in his highest position of the day and with a new crew chief is Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's climbed up into the top 8. Johnson way up high on the racetrack, and the lead goes to Carl Edwards.
I don't know if that was Jimmy Johnson intended to do that or if he got up in the loose stuff, but that didn't look normal.
You see right there behind Jimmy Johnson, that 5 car, Mark Martin, remember, restarted back in 35th position on lap 48 because of not making that green flag pit stop. Here they're in the top 5 running 3rd.
But the most motivated driver in that pack is right behind Mark Martin. Kevin Harvick is the first car 1 lap down. If caution comes out, he would get the free pass. Back to Junior, who's now in 8th, and Steve.
Mike, they've made good progress on that 88 car. The pit stop prior to this one, he said, hey, I like what you've done. I'm still a little bit tight. Give me more of that adjustment. So they made another wedge adjustment. There he is in the 8th position.
Lance McGrew, the new interim crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here's a little in-car audio.
Last change was a really good one. I plan on giving you exactly that same change because it may be a little much, but I think we're going to keep fighting that tight as this place keeps rubbering up.
Well, I don't know what you meant, but I just, the last one was a pretty good change. The car came alive there.
10-4, we're going to go exactly the same amount again. Basically, that's what I meant.
Okay, 10-4.
We've got a 3-way battle for the lead here between Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, and Mark Martin in that 5.
Just ahead, Jamie McMurray trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. The leader's coming after him.
No big hurry.
It's easy for the spotter to say, isn't it?
In a very calm voice.
Johnson back to the front, and Carl Edwards surrenders the lead. Krista?
Well, Mike, 3 finishes at this track, so being up front, although not in the lead, but being up there is very familiar position here at this racetrack for this driver.
Yeah, he's got, I think, the best average finish of any of the guys in the race today, like a 7th place. Maybe even better than that, Larry.
Yeah, he has 45 starts here, Mark Martin, in that 5 car, and he has 28 top 10 finishes here. There's Kyle Busch. I know you said the most motivated driver was Kevin Harvick at 29. I think we're looking at the most motivated driver. Kyle Busch led the most laps in the truck race, led the most laps in the nationwide race, but did not go to victory lane.
Did the same thing in 2 races at Charlotte last week. We'd love to know what happened to Kyle Busch, but in each of those races, he left the premises without talking to television or radio, so we're not sure.
Well, it'd be like a lot of drivers I used to know. They don't want to ask somebody to ask them what happened when your engine was blowing up, you know. Well, it blowed up. I think in his case, he had a flat tire.
And in the nationwide race, his teammate got in the back of him.
But he had a flat tire. I think that's what I would have liked to heard come out of somewhere in that telecast was if, in fact, he had a flat tire, because I'm pretty sure he did.
Here is Joey Logano, who finished 2nd in that nationwide race, and that was the car that got into the back of Kyle Busch during the green-white checker overdrive finish of that race yesterday. Here is Joey's run through the field today. And today in the Home Depot rookie file, he tells us about his improvement these last few weeks.
Yeah, I think it all started in Darlington probably when we had a really good run there. The momentum started picking up. The confidence is really the big deal. I think I have confidence telling Zippy what's going on in the race car more. You know, I'm more confident saying things. You know, I think just getting used to these cars more. You know, the whole team's just more confident, which makes us all run better. I think that's it's a big combination of a lot of stuff going on, but I think that's one of the biggest things. Well, it's been fun doing the Home Depot rookie file on Fox this year, and hopefully I'll be here next year. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joey. It's been an interesting season so far, to be sure. Now, all 3 rookie candidates were entered here. Max Pappas failed to qualify, and Scott Speed is in the garage area, so Logano will be the rookie of the race.
I felt really sorry for him yesterday when that race was over with, because he was taking all the blame, and I'm almost positive that Kyle Busch had a soft right front tire on that restart. I just can't imagine he didn't.
Well, I wish he'd stayed and explained that, Darrell, and then we'd all know.
But you know, that caution that came out a while ago was Joey's best friend. That 20 car had been lapped.
Right.
But because they had not been to pit road to make their green flag pit stop, here he is up in the top 15. Darrell, I just think at Dover, you never pass up an opportunity to come to pit road and get tires, but most importantly, fuel, because you know it stands a chance of a long green run.
And oh, by the way, tires, I'm not talking about 2 either.
No. Now, Krista can give us an update on that finish yesterday.
Yeah, and the communication, Mike, to talk or not to talk to Kyle. Well, I talked to crew chief Steve Addington this morning. He said he texted and talked to Kyle after the nationwide race, but after what happened in the truck race, that happened happen again. Steve even said he stayed away from Kyle. He waited and talked to him this morning here at the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, going into this weekend, I felt like Kyle Busch could sweep all 3 races, and he certainly had the car in both races yesterday and truck to do that.
I think he'll just cool out a while today. Maybe he won't try to lead all the laps. What do you think?
Well, last year, Darrell, he did not even lead a single lap until lap 150. And then he led 158 of the last 250 laps.
I said it in the FedEx Understanding the Race. Stay on the lead lap, stay in touch with the leader, and when we get to lap 350, that's when you ramp it up a notch.
We are 1/3 distance here at Dover International Speedway on a beautiful sunny day in the first state, and Jimmy Johnson has a very slender lead, 2 car lengths over Carl Edwards.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by AMP Energy. Introducing Dale Jr.'s new AMP Energy Trade and Paint. It's orange, berry, and lime slammed together for a limited time. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. And by Taco Bell. Think outside the box.
147 laps complete. Jimmy Johnson 1.3 seconds up on Carl Edwards. Mark Martin just a car length behind Edwards. Here's a question from Ask.com. Don't look above the banner at the bottom of the screen as we ask you, who is Miles the Monster? Get the answer at Ask.com. Enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge for a chance to win daily prizes and a trip to Talladega.
Oh, Miles, he looks mad to me.
As usual.
Because I haven't chewed up anything all day.
I know. He got fed well last week, or yesterday, man, rather.
We had a restart roughly 25 laps ago. Jimmy Johnson is still our leader. Let's update you on the 5 cars running in front of our leader right now. When you look at Kurt Busch in the 2 car, right now he is on the tail end of the lead lap, trying desperately to stay in front of that 48 car. Now, if we go ahead of Kurt Busch to his teammate Sam Hornish Jr. in the 77 car, right now Sam is trying to stay in that position because he would only be 1 lap down. If Jimmy Johnson goes by him, that would put him 2 laps down. Now, out in front of Sam Hornish Jr. is Casey Kane in the 9 car. Casey, like Kurt Busch, trying to just stay on the lead lap. He's at the tail end of the lead lap, actually pulling away from Jimmy Johnson right now. And the little white car right out in front of Casey Kane right now, that's Greg Biffle in the 16 car, who actually led this race early. Same situation, just trying to stay out there, hope for a caution. He would be back on the lead lap.
Right now, David Rudiman, our pole sitter, is in the free pass position. The first car 1 lap down.
This is Boyer that we're riding with, and we just had mentioned him. He's sitting out there, and he's got a quick race car. In fact, he's about to catch the back end of the pack. But Clint, right now, in the spot he's running, is 1 lap down. So he'd love to see a caution. That way that'd put him in position for the free pass.
So look at the lap times for the 48 and the 9. Right now, Kane and the 48 are matching times.
Ooh, Martin Truex had a slide there right in front of Kyle Busch. Now, Truex is one of those cars that is 1 lap down. Tony Stewart coming around him.
I was going to say, that's a battle right there, though, between that 18 and that 14. That's a battle for the 4th spot. Tony Stewart did not get a great qualifying run in, but he was one of those cars that just was about to make a green flag pit stop. The caution saved him, and right now Tony's up in the top 5. Remember, comes in here 2nd in the Sprint Cup Series point. He'd love to win that Fox Cup at the end of the day.
Now, David Rudiman, boy, he had a moment with Bobby Labonte a lap or so ago here. Rudiman's car climbs the hill. Look what happens here.
Rudiman just gets loose. That's what this place will do to him, man. And then he got a little tap from Bobby Labonte.
Now, Labonte not in position for the free pass because he's 3 laps down. Rudiman 1 lap down.
And he had that pit road speeding penalty during a green flag pit stop.
And a moment ago,
Uncle.
He'd had enough.
Uncle, I give. Go ahead.
So that moves Tony up to 4th.
It's not very often Kyle Busch calls Uncle.
No, it isn't.
You know, we've been bragging on Tony Stewart and the season he's had so far for what is now Stewart Haas Racing. Tony is in 2nd place in the standings to Jeff Gordon. In 10 years of Sprint Cup racing, including 2 championships, Tony has never been this high in the point standings after 12 races.
I mean, Mike, if you just look at this year compared to last year, he has scored, after 12 races, 167 more points in 2009 than he did in 2008 at this same point.
Best he's ever been at this point in the season. The way they're running right now, he's in position to take the point lead and the Fox Cup for whoever leads the points after our half of the race to the chase. Right now he's up 34 on Jeff Gordon.
I don't think Jeff Gordon felt very confident about the Cup. You know, he just didn't want to take it. And here we are with Jeff Gordon. And I tell you, Jeff he just looks like he's driving very conservatively. He's not I don't think he's showing all he's got. I think he's saving a little energy here, to tell you the truth. Kind of looks like he's waiting on the car. He's not hustling the car. He's kind of waiting on it. Hear the wheel spin up off 2 over there.
I talked to Steve Letarte last night as crew chief. He said, honestly, with what we've been through and what Jeff has been through this weekend, we would love to just have a top 10 finish.
Jeff Gordon's a little more than a straightaway behind David Rudiman, who is the car in position for the free pass right now. Montoya has cut down a tire and we're under caution. Pit road's open. Matt.
Jimmy Johnson says his car is loose for the first 15 laps, and then it's okay. Service finally complete as far as Tony Stewart goes. He says he needed more of the same. That was a chassis adjustment to try to get the car to turn better in the center of the corner. Steve.
Mark Martin has picked up a push. They raised the track bar one round.
The pendulum is swinging for Carl Edwards. First he was loose at the 2/3 point of the corner. Now he's tight. 4 tires for the 99.
Jimmy Johnson wins the race off pit road. Hamlin, Edwards, Busch. And let's show you why we're under caution. Watch the target car of Montoya as it comes off turn number 4. And watch the right front on the hood just before the start-finish line.
Watch the hood buck up right there. You see the hood buck up, and that's the air coming out of the tire first.
If you're going to blow a tire at Dover, the middle of the straightaway is the best place to do it.
Roger that.
Fourth caution of the day at lap 165 in the Autism Speaks 400, presented by Heluva Goods sour cream dips and cheese.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's, is sponsored by Sprint. NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. It'll change the way you experience the race.
Lap 167, we're under caution. Summer's officially here. Collect the Coca-Cola cans of summer, open a Coke, and open happiness.
There, we got our lineup all straightened out now. We got everybody back pretty much where they belong. Cars that were supposed to be on the lead lap are on the lead lap.
Well, it got too close for comfort here. Watch the 99 come out, and now watch Kyle Busch in the 18.
Whoops.
That's not good for that right front fender.
Carl's waving, yeah.
Yeah, a little excuse me. And Tony Stewart had a slow stop. He lost 5 positions on pit road.
And I got the report. They're they're real close on Marcos Ambrose, but it just wasn't a fast pit stop. But Mike, we definitely need to make note. The real beneficiaries, Casey Kane, Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, they are back on the lead lap. David Rudiman got the free pass. He's back on the lead lap. And Sam Hornish Jr. and Clint Boyer are now just 1 lap down by staying out in front of the leader.
There are your Toyota top performers as we get ready to go back to green, completing lap 169. David Rudiman had the free pass on that caution flag, and there's Denny Hamlin, who's now up to 2nd place behind Jimmy Johnson.
And they didn't do anything out of the ordinary. That was a 4-tire stop for that Mike Ford-led crew.
Took them from 7th to 2nd.
Maybe all that practice is going to pay off.
Green flag.
Restarts, just envision that as if it was the All-Star race and how that would have looked on the restart.
How about an end of the season special NASCAR on Fox? Rank it up. That 18 is loose when on the speed shot you can read everything right down the right side from that camera mounted on the wall.
And he's lost a couple of spots by being loose. Mark Martin just drove by him just a few laps ago, and then Martin Truex Jr., who is actually still 1 lap down, just went by him.
I tell you, driving by him is one thing. I think some of these guys might drive into him as close as they're getting.
Now Dale Earnhardt Jr. now up to 6th place, Steve.
Mike, he says the front end of the car is better. He said it runs good for a few laps, then it gets tight a few laps, then it gets good again. It feels kind of weird, but they made a wedge adjustment. Meanwhile, his teammate Jeff Gordon said, "We have destroyed the exit. I am 3 times as loose as I was. I can't touch the gas pedal unless I start heading to the wall." Big adjustments on the 24 wedge and track bar and air.
I don't know how good that car is, but it's good enough to go by 2 of them at once.
Good job, man.
Hadn't seen that in a while. You got that right. Get on it, boys. Give him a pat on the back.
Remember, Jeff Gordon is 1 lap down after pit stops and getting caught on pit road when the caution waved.
Yeah, Darrell and I were talking at break. We think Big Daddy's just back there lurking. He's trying to get in the position to get that free pass. We're still 25 laps away from halfway. I don't think we've heard the last of Jeff Gordon just yet.
Right now, the free pass car, Larry, is Martin Truex, who is about half a straightaway ahead of Jeff Gordon.
Oh, he knows he'll get it sooner or later. He's got a good enough race car. He'll be sitting there when the time comes.
You know, back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car right now, who's running in the 5th position. Just think about what he has been through this week. He has actually had 3 different crew chiefs in less than a week.
Just get me forward rail, both ends of the car on the first 2 or 3 laps there.
He just wants to get going a little quicker. But Tony Eury Jr. was on the pit box at Lowe's Motor Speedway last Monday. When we got here on Friday, Brian Weitzel was calling the shots because Lance McGrew right here was over with Brad Keselowski, who didn't make the race. Now Lance McGrew is in his ear calling the shots today and probably for the rest of 2009.
But I've 2 things. That's the best feedback I've heard from Dale Jr. this year almost. And the other thing is, they need to encourage him more. I heard a little bit of that just a minute ago, but they really need to encourage him because I think that will help his morale. That's what he needs. So Lance, call him up and tell him he's doing a good job, buddy.
Well, he's up to 5th place. Here is Kyle Busch in 6th. What's up with Kyle, Krista?
Well, Mike, there is some major drama going on in the 18 camp. Kyle had been tight on that last run. Possibly the adjustments they made may have gone too far because Kyle came on the radio and said, "I have got nothing on the right side. It feels like I'm running on cords."
Well, if it feels that way, Darrell, it soon may be.
Well, it may be. And again, I can't stress to you how critical air pressure is here. Because it builds up so much, so fast, your car just will already turn into a skateboard.
And honestly, that's probably what Dale Earnhardt Jr. is asking for. Give me a little more air pressure to start a run where I can get going, but you got to be careful when you do that.
Matt Kenseth has caught Kyle Busch. This is for 6th place, Steve.
And Mike, he is sticking to his game plan, running a conservative race. He said a while ago, the rear wheels just not in the track like I need. He said, feels like there's a drag on the brakes, but again, he's racing his race.
I'll say, the challenge at this racetrack is hooking up off these corners. You come out of the hole, come up out of the turn. When you leap up onto the straightaway, the back wheels want to come off the ground. So it's really hard to keep traction.
Now, Matt is racing for incentive too because this is the last week that his wife Katie will be at the racetrack until she gives birth to their first child in early July. But a cool story. Matt and Katie do not want to know what the baby is, male or female. They don't want to know. They want to be surprised. But they didn't want to wait and get the baby's room decorated, so they gave a key to the nursery, and the doctor told the decorator what the baby's going to be by virtue of giving her a picture. And she went so far as she decorated the room and put the carpet down where they wouldn't peek under the door. She stuffed towels in the bottom of the door where they couldn't see in the nursery. So they'll bring the baby home. They'll go into a brand new, freshly decorated nursery.
Matt says boy or girl, he has no preference. He just wants a nice, healthy baby. Jimmy Johnson, 3 seconds ahead of Denny Hamlin. Carl Edwards, 3.5 off the lead. Mark Martin, 4.2. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. up in the top 5, 6 seconds back.
I'm in the lead, and it's staying that way.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by McDonald's. Time for an AT&T race break. We've gone 191 laps, the 400 here in Dover, Delaware. Jimmy Johnson, the story, going for a 4th straight. It would be unprecedented Cup championship, but he's led 127 laps so far. Your leader, in front of Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. More on Jr. in a moment with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, the Stewart-Haas racing duo of Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman. They have some streaks they want to end, winless streaks, but let's talk about how Tony and his teammate are doing.
Well, right now you're taking a look at the 39 car of Ryan Newman, and he is definitely getting ready to put some pressure on the 8th place car right there of Reed Sorensen, but his boss man and teammate Tony Stewart, he's up to 7th after he started 31st. He never qualifies good here for some reason, but in the race, Tony's able to work that car up to toward the front, and right now he's getting ready to try to go for his 9th top 10 finish of the year and maybe get the victory lane today and get that #1 win he's been looking for in a point race for Stewart-Haas Racing.
It's been 18 for Tony, 47 races since Newman won. Remember, it was the Daytona 500 in 2008. Now, Kyle Busch dominated both races yesterday. Let's talk a little bit about his situation. He fought a loose condition earlier. He's been as high as 2nd, as low as 16.
Well, as Chris DeVoto reported, I mean, there's something going on with this race car. It's all over the racetrack. It's not down where it needs to be. Definitely, he must have some kind of maybe tire issue or handling problem for sure. And he is falling through the field right now, all the way back to like 16th as Paul Menard goes to the inside of him. But here, to me, is the bright spot of the afternoon. Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 22nd, all the way up to the top 5. And Chris, look, he's racing, man. He is racing. He is up there battling. These guys have made the right adjustments. He's up on the wheel. It's just great to see this 88 car back up there in the top 5 doing what they're doing.
It looks like maybe Rick Hendrick took the engine from Jeff Gordon's car, who's a lap down, and put it in Dale Earnhardt
starting
Jr.'s
rumors
car.
again,
No,
aren't you?
I'm just fans are wondering. Well, why is Junior racing now? Is it the car?
They've
or is it
got
his
the
attitude?
car where he can drive it. And again, we've been saying he's a good race car driver. If you give him a good race car, he can do what's necessary. And right now, they've made some good adjustments. He's gave good feedback. I mean, Larry, Darrell, and Mike have been documenting it all day long. This is what we're looking for out of this young man in Hendrick Motorsports. In the top 5 where he belongs. His teammate right now, Jimmy Johnson, sitting pace along with Mark Martin, but there he is in the top 5, and that's what we've been expecting all year long.
Man, Mark Martin moving into the 3rd spot ahead of Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, who was the fastest in practice, moving up to 2nd as we look at Mark Martin trying to win his 3rd race of the year.
Yeah, that's kind of like unbelievable. This is a great racetrack for Mark. He's got a lot of wins here. This is his kind of racetrack. I've always said this is a racetrack you need to attack. He knows how to attack it and when to attack it.
And Jimmy Johnson, who's led in 11 of 13 races this year, one more leader that is different, and it will equal all of the leaders we had through 400 miles as we near the halfway point here. From your AT&T phone, text the car number for the pit crew you think will be the fastest in the race to 2258. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network, and this has been an AT&T Race Break as we rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Halfway next time by here at Dover Downs. And let's point out the Dale Earnhardt Jr. resurgence is not due simply to the change on top of the pit box. Lance McGrew replacing Tony Eury Jr. There's the halfway sign. Brian Weitzel, who is a tremendous engineer, organizer, helped set up that 24 and 48 shop. He has a manufacturing background in a factory, and he's a Virginia Tech engineering grad. He's up there. Rex Stump, the lead chassis engineer. He's now working on the 88 full time. Rick Hendrick has devoted a tremendous amount of resources to getting this car back up front.
And actually the car was in the hauler already ready to race at Dover when this transition took place. So when the car got here, Brian, Lance, and all those guys, there were things that's why he didn't qualify all that great. They started to make changes on that race car during practice, and you see the results. They've gotten it better. But just remember, Tony Eury Jr., he's not going anywhere. He's actually going to VIR, I think, on the Tuesday with Jimmy Johnson to test at the road course. And so that's what Tony's going to be doing in the future, and that's how much confidence they have in him to send him down there with Jimmy Johnson.
Tell you what, we got this battle right here for 9th between Jeff Burton and that 31 car, Kurt Busch in the 2. Jeff Burton started back in the 32nd position, and here these guys are racing inside the top 10. And there's Reed Sorensen, who qualified 4th, led the race early in that 43 Air Force car, fell back. They got off on their adjustments, but looks like they're gaining back on this car, trying to get him back to the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, that 43 car was so good at the beginning, and man, I thought, what in the world happened? But here he is, finding his way back into the top 10.
Now Jeff Gordon, who got caught on pit road when the caution came out, is about to go 2 laps down to his Hendrick teammate race leader Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, and I watched Jeff, and he just kind of was pulling down out of the way. He's not really running that hard right now.
You know, I really like that AT&T race break we had. We'd have a hell of a good hamburger while they were doing it.
Oh, it was a monster burger. That thing going to take 400 laps to finish it.
Miles.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's, is sponsored by Cheerios, good for the heart. By Dodge Chrysler Jeep, we're building a new car company. Come see what we're building for you. By State Farm, where great coverage meets great race. And by Lowe's, for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together.
Just past halfway at Dover International Speedway. In the first state, 212 laps complete. Jimmy Johnson's lead on Denny Hamlin, now 3.6 seconds. Mark Martin another 0.7 of a second back. We're going to give a shout out to the number 11 team for the job they did. He started 16th and gets a +9 on pit stops today. That last one, Dick, brought him up to second place.
And that's where Denny Hamlin has been riding since. Hamlin calls Dover his most challenging track. Perhaps at Dover today, he might call Jimmy Johnson his most challenging driver because he has watched Johnson simply disappear out of the windshield. The problem with Hamlin's car, he is too loose on late exit. Just coming out of the corner, almost before the straightaway. That's where it gets loose. So a little while ago, the crew told him to take it a little bit easier on the throttle, maybe reduce the wheel spin. As he did that, started picking up a little speed.
Next Dick, managing the race, brought to you by Cheerios. Good for the heart. Manage your health to get the most out of your life and be there for the ones you love. Riding with Clint Boyer as Juan Montoya, whose right front was damaged earlier when that tire let go, comes back to pit road.
They had high hopes for this 42 car. Of course, qualifying in the 3rd position, but I talked to his crew chief, Brian Patty, and Brian was very concerned about this tire situation. There you see Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, now going 2 laps down to his teammate Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
When your teammate is about to go 2 laps down and you've got a 3.5 second lead over the second place car, Jimmy has been sitting there waiting on the 24 car lap after lap after lap, trying to cut him some slack.
Jimmy's got about half a straightaway on Denny Hamlin. Let's go back to 14th spot and Casey Mears. Mears started 17th today in the Blackjack Chevrolet of Richard Childress.
You know, Mike, the car behind him, Paul Menard in that 98 car, qualified in the 36th position, sitting there in the top 15. You know, Paul had a very dismal start. In fact, they were flirting with being outside the top 35. But it's almost once he started running some nationwide series races on Saturday, their performance has absolutely ramped up with this 98 car.
You know, Larry Carter, you know, Larry Boy, he told me that they really have got their program working now. They're pretty happy with Paul. Paul and he are getting good. They're communicating well together. It's good to see him running well.
And keep in mind, Menard's an ex-open wheeler, and that transition to stock cars is not the easiest to make, and he has done well. You're now looking at him from Casey Kane's onboard camera. Kane just passed Menard to move up to 15th after starting this race on the outside pole.
But remember, he was one of the guys that was on the tail end of the lead lap when that last caution came out. He restarted way in the back, and he's working his way methodically back toward the front.
Here is our pole sitter, David Rudiman. He is in 17th. He and Menard now will discuss 15th place.
But now David's teammate, Marcos Ambrose, in the 47 car, at one point he went a lap down through some cycle of green flag pit stops, but he's back on the lead lap. Started about mid-pack, and that's about where he's running, in the 18th spot.
Behind him, Kyle Busch has faded to 19th, just in front of his Joe Gibbs teammate, Joey Logano. Michael Waltrip in the picture in the Napa Toyota, but not on the same lap as that group.
And it's just how quickly things can change here, Mike. I mean, Kyle Busch is the car that was running in the top 3, and due to some adjustments and maybe some things that they need to undo on the car, he might go a lap down if he stay up on the green.
Krista told us during break that during this run, Kyle has asked for help on all 4 corners of the car. There's just nothing about that car that is to his liking right now.
Plus a shock change.
Yes. Yep. Hey, Regan Smith. Now there's the bright spot of the race and maybe of this season. The former Rookie of the Year for Furniture Row Racing out of Denver, Colorado. Limited schedule. Once again, here he is on the lead lap all day.
And you know what? The biggest thing about Regan Smith, this is his 48th career start in Sprint Cup. He has never had a DNF. He's been running at the end of all 48 of those races, or 47 coming into this race.
I believe he's one of the most underrated drivers in the sport right now.
Agreed.
And I also believe that this is an overachieving race team. When you think about they're in Denver, Colorado, I talked to Jay Guy and Regan last night. They go over to Pikes Peak and test, and they show up when they're ready to race. And I like their theory.
Well, they sure would love to have a caution right now, because that's the leader, Jimmy Johnson, in the 48. Matt, right on his rear bumper.
And Jimmy, lap after lap, he's usually 1/10 to 2/10 faster than Denny Hamlin. He did make a comment about 20 laps ago telling Chad Canals that he needs to have a little more grip in the front. It's still grabbing, but that's where he's going to have to work on their next stop, which should take place somewhere around lap 254 to 255.
Now, Jimmy, we talked about him lapping Jeff Gordon, even though he wasn't directly under pressure. Clearly, Gordon was holding him up, because there's Jeff, and Jimmy's yarded him by half a straightaway since he passed him.
Jimmy was being very kind to his teammate.
Correct. Johnson the leader by 4.3 seconds over Denny Hamlin, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, and Dale Jr. You're riding with Denny Hamlin. You can hear the tire down and see the car vibrating, because Hamlin took a wild ride into the turn 3 wall. Watch the 11.
Yeah, he just gets in here and you watch his car. It just right front let's go, and bang. Man, he was doing, I bet you, at least 150 miles an hour headed in that corner.
Here's Mark Martin's view.
Yikes. And Darrell, I said it kind of jokingly earlier. Montoya blew his in the middle of the straightaway. Denny Hamlin blows his going into the corner.
Hamlin's
after the 8.
Ooh.
Killed it.
Hamlin's first 3 Cup races at Dover, he finished 11th, 9th, and 4th. The last 3 races, no better than 38th.
And that was roughly 61 laps on that set of tires.
Has anybody ever just walked up to you and just hit you in the gut as hard as they can?
Thankfully not lately.
That's what that feels like.
I'll bet. Matt.
The 5-second lead gone for Jimmy Johnson. Chassis adjustment already completed to Steve.
Mark Martin's car is neutral. No adjustments on the 5 car. The 88, the plan there is just to loosen him up little by little as the track tightens up. The plan is working. Krista.
Carl Edwards says his car is just a little too loose, especially on the short runs. It would come in a little bit, but really what he's missing is overall grip. A slight adjustment in 4 tires for the 99.
Looks like Jimmy's going to win this race off pit road, ahead of Mark Martin, Dale Jr., and Matt Kenseth.
That's the old 88 car. When the car's working, then the driver's working, the pit crew's working too.
Always helps to have a new cheerleader too on the team.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's, is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Get the inside track from Penske Racing and race analysis, plus highlights and high-speed action, all on VCast from Verizon Wireless, America's largest, most reliable wireless network.
When watching across the Delaware, what was the password? Get the answer right now at Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. Green flag to begin lap 237. Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Rick Hendrick 1, 2, 3.
And you know what? We have seen Hendrick 1, 2, 3 a lot this year. It's just been minus the 88 car, and there he is right up there in the 3rd spot.
Tell you, he's got a piece that could take the lead. I think he's driving really aggressively, and I think he wants to lead this race.
But remember what he told Lance earlier. Give me something to give me a little more grip the first couple of laps of a run. I can't get going like I want to.
Yeah, and what Lance needs to tell him is, don't worry, dude, we'll fix it.
We got you covered.
Well, they also need to tell him 17's coming on the bottom. Matt Kenseth trying to get past his teammate Jamie McMurray, who is a lap down, and challenge for that 3rd position. Here comes Kenseth.
Look at that little 78 car, Larry, just sitting right up here in amongst them.
And of course, what he would love to see is a caution right now, because he would be the beneficiary for the free pass.
And he's not holding anybody up. I mean, you can see he pulls Dale Jr. up off turn 2 over there a little bit, so he's not holding anybody up.
David Stremme just brushed the wall. Kyle Busch went underneath. Kyle Busch received the free pass on this most recent caution.
Well, we talked about Hendrick being 1, 2, 3. That 78 car actually runs the Hendrick engine package. So there they are right in amongst those 3.
Martin Truex tried but didn't get the free pass on that last caution, but he's still in the lead pack, the winner 2 years ago. Let's get an update on the leader. Goes way up the racetrack. Here comes Mark Martin. Mark Martin is going to lead this race for the first time today.
That looked planned.
Yes, it did. Perfect timing to do it.
Yep.
Matt?
And Jimmy will go back to the bottom to retake that position. And I don't know too many people, except maybe that guy in Jimmy's mirror who's more diligent and strict about a workout program. Jimmy Johnson 4 years ago, he took the Gatorade sweat test just to make sure he had proper hydration. Spent an entire day doing different workout programs to make sure he could properly hydrate himself for days like this. And once the day like this, he had to turn off all of his driver aids, low volts in the 48.
Well, there's no question. I feel like with his teammate Mark Martin coming in here 12th in the points, only 6 points to the good, Mark Martin just got 5 points added to his tally for leading that lap.
6 points to the good over David Rudeman, who has already led the race. So
those were important.
Those are very important, and I love the way they did it. I mean, really good teamwork.
Now Matt Kenseth had moved up to 3rd, passing Dale Earnhardt Jr., but Mark Martin has now led at Dover for the 29th race, and that is the most of all time since this track opened in 1969.
We've been talking about a lot of these different cars. That 17 car looks like he's getting closer and closer to being able to contend for the lead.
The big story all week has been Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the crew chief change on the number 88 at Hendrick Motorsports. So, to no surprise, they are the subject of today's State Farm Pit Road Spotlight.
I think we got a pretty good handle on what the wedge does. I think it's time. I think we need to make a left side air adjustment here. So this stop, we're not going to do the wedge again. We're just going to do left side air. I think we're in pretty good shape right here, bud. All right, that left rear air is sensitive. Be careful. In 4, I'm not going to mess with you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Clear in, clear out. And if we just pick that rear up just a touch, man, we'll be right there. Be able to make a spot or 2 here and there. You guys are doing great, though. You're the man.
Just like the 88 crew, you can count on your State Farm agent to be there for you.
Now, you know me, I always want the crew to encourage the driver. That time, the driver encouraged the crew, and so that's good communication and pretty good chemistry, Larry.
I'm going to tell you, I have not heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. this upbeat during a race, or maybe even before after a race, in a long time.
Steve?
And Mike, just listening to Dale Earnhardt on the radio, he's saying the car is a lot tighter, way tighter than it was on the last stop.
Well, fellas, this is a first date. These are 2 fellas who are trying to build a business relationship, driver and crew chief. And it is very important to get started off on the right foot. And having a car that'll run in the top 5 is certainly the right kind of start.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. Rex Trump, he's the guy that builds these cars. He knows remember T-Rex?
Yes.
Well, there's the creator of T-Rex. And now you got Lance McGrew, who we know he won the championship in the Nationwide Series with Brian Vickers, winning crew chief.
And you got Brian Weitzel full time on the 88.
Weitzel's right there working. So we got some horsepower in the pits.
And Darrell, right quick, you know, the thing is, if, you know, when you're taking over and taking charge like Lance McGrew's doing, that's exactly what you need to do too. You need to be assertive. You need to be positive, because that guy behind the wheel wants to get the feeling that you know what you're doing and the changes you're going to make. You're hearing him. You're making the right ones. And one other thing we need to kind of keep up with, guys, is this racetrack is going through one of its transition periods. Remember, we started this race off, no rubber on the track. It's starting to get black. Now you've got to make some different changes to keep up with what this track is doing. So I think this is going to be a critical time just past the halfway point where, you know, you've got to get up on top of what the track is. And this is where Chad Knaus has always been so good with Jimmy Johnson. And the 88 may get a little bit off because of that, because they may not know exactly how much to adjust the 88.
But you're right, Jeff. I mean, we're going to get to a point here. We don't have a whole lot more pit stops to adjust on this thing. We've got 150 laps to go, maybe only a couple of stops.
And the two fastest cars on the racetrack. There's one, race leader Jimmy Johnson. There's the other. Matt Kenseth is closing in. Let's go to his pit.
Mike, all race long, Matt Kenseth has said it doesn't feel like the tires are into the racetrack. Feels like it's on top of it. The last stop, they took air pressure out on the left side tire.
Thanks, Steve. Now to the garage and Krista.
Yeah, Mike, and Darrell Waltrip said Denny Hamlin probably feels like he was just punched in the gut. Denny, is Darrell's assessment an accurate one? Is that what it feels like?
Didn't hear too much of what you said, but I tell you, that was a pretty hard hit. I didn't have any warning at all. It's just our car is actually pretty free that run. You know, I pushed a little bit harder than what we had all day, but we were, if anything, we were going to be hard on the right rear, not the right front. I think just a freak deal. The tire just blew out and it ended our FedEx Kinko's day. It just, you know, we made progress. My pit crew did an awesome job getting me up there, but just some more bad luck for the 11 team.
I asked you if it feels like you were punched in the gut.
More like the head.
Thanks, Denny.
Trouble for Michael Waltrip, his car limping down the apron of the back straightaway.
Denny said more like the head.
Yeah.
Not the gut, the head. Now Michael just had something happen to his engine, I think.
Yeah, he's had a rough day. He was 3 laps down back at about the 31st, 32nd position.
No caution.
Now the engine is still running right now. You can see right there by the RPM. Now it's shut off.
Ooh, a lot of smoke out the tailpipe as it shuts down. Now Tony Stewart had been backing up a bit. Carl Edwards got right up on the back bumper of Stewart, easily made the pass. Now Ryan Newman has gone past his teammate, so Smoke's progress is stopped for now.
That's the other thing about these race cars. This car is so fickle, and it can go either way. You make a little change and it'll change the car dramatically. It drives these crew chiefs crazy.
Matt Smoke's about to give up 8th place to Greg Biffle. What's going on?
Mike DW hit it exactly. That's what has been the last 2 segments for Tony Stewart. They made an adjustment, went the wrong way. They took wedge out of it on the last stop, but now he says the car is just way out of the racetrack. He's lost a lot of grip. And we talked about the Fox Cup, and if Tony Stewart can lead the point standings at day's end, it'll be the first time in 556 races that an owner driver has left a Sprint Cup Series race as the championship leader.
Right now, though, I believe that 14 car, they're not exactly where they want to be just yet.
And Larry, you said something that kind of got my attention. You said only 150 laps to go. That's a lifetime to a race car driver at this place. This race drags on.
Yes,
baby.
it does.
Casey Kane, the outside pole sitter, has just moved back up into the top 10. 143 laps to go in Dover. Back in April, Greg Biffle had a chance to take the new Ford Raptor truck out to the Arizona desert. The street version of the Ford Raptor hits showrooms a little later this summer. In fact, but for the roll cage and the window net, that's pretty darn close to the street version. That's a pretty cool piece. Greg had a great time. And if you want to win a Ford Fusion, log on to WeRaceYouWin.com to see how.
You know, talking about Greg Biffle in the 16, and let's add to it Kurt Busch in the 2 and Casey Kane in the 9. Remember, they were running out in front of the leader when the caution came out on lap 164, just trying to stay on the lead lap. All 3 of those race cars are in the top 10, and let's add to this list Kyle Busch in the 18 car. He just got the free pass on the last caution at lap 231, and he's just outside the top 10 now in the 11th position. So nice recovery by all 4 of those teams.
Yeah, and Kyle's car, I've been watching a little bit. whatever they did to it, it certainly corrected a lot of the issues he was having. And again, he's one of those cars that's moving forward instead of falling back.
Yeah, Darrell, he's lapping about a quarter-second a lap faster than Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth, our leaders.
But you know, when I look at Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car leader, Matt talked about it. I know right now he has a 3 1/4 second lead with basically 131 laps to go, but Matt reported that they're having voltage issues. Chris DeVoto was telling us it's hot down there on pit road, so it means it's hot in that race car, and I'm sure he's had to cut a lot of that stuff off, including we were talking about blowers on the tires. They're probably having to cut a lot of those things off to try to get this thing to the end.
I don't know what he's got cut on. I don't know what he's got cut off, but I know this. He's hauling the mail.
Yes, he is.
He is out front. He's got no pressure. Hadn't had for most of the day. Pulling
These
away.
fellas do. Here's the free pass battle, Darrell. Regan Smith's trying to hold off Jamie McMurray because when the caution comes out next, one of those two would receive the free pass.
And they know it. They're battling each other just like they're battling for the lead right now.
And coming up on them is Clint Boyer. There's the white 33. He is also part of that group trying to get back on the lead lap.
And it'd be pretty cool if Boyer did, because he was 2 laps down not too long ago.
Now Kurt Busch in the Blue Deuce is on the lead lap. He's the 4th place car, but he's about to find himself in the midst of a dogfight. Behind Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards has passed Dale Earnhardt Jr., whose car, Steve, seems to be going a little bit backwards. Biffle just got him for 7th place.
It is, Mike. He just told Lance McGrew, I want to make something out of this run. It's bad type right now. And Lance said, hey, dime in the corners and hold on. We'll fix it up for you on the next stop.
And of course, the big concern with the car tight is how much you're abusing and using that right front tire.
You know, we were talking about Boyer. He ran the nationwide race yesterday. He drove the 29 car. He finished 3rd. I think that's some pretty good information that he's probably learned from about the tires. That car is fast, Larry. I've been watching him. He's one of the faster race cars on the track.
And Darrell, this would be great for that 33 team. When you look at the last 6 races, they finished 5th at Martinsville. The next 6 races, they've only had 1 top 20 finish.
Let's go back to this free pass battle because it's been a good one. Jamie McMurray, you see, just passed the black number 78 of Regan Smith. Kurt Busch is trying to get away from this group because here comes the 33 of Boyer, one of those 3 cars, hoping for the free pass if caution waves.
Well, those 3 cars know the clock is ticking. We're now down to 125 laps to go. This race has a little bit of a green flag look to it, so they want to get up there and be that first car 1 lap down.
Yeah, now, Larry, is when you want to say, okay, we got all the adjustments like we wanted. Now, if we can catch a caution, get closed up, put 4 tires on.
Oh, caution.
If we could just possibly catch one.
And we did.
Debris on the front straightaway. Puts us under caution. Attaboy Jamie McMurray. He fought hard to get past Regan Smith. And the Crown Royal Fusion will get its lap back. And he will become the 20th place car.
Good job. Way to think tough.
On the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, 10-4.
That's Donnie Wingo.
I believe he's out of breath.
See, relief is just a caution away.
He's been holding his breath for the last 20 laps, hoping this would happen for him.
So Jimmy Johnson's lead over Matt Kenseth disappears. Mark Martin, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, the top 5. Biffle 6th, Earnhardt 7th. Kane, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Newman. Kyle Busch had got past Newman a few laps ago to take over 9th place.
What the heck is that?
A little bit of debris. Pit road's open. It had been 40 laps since that last pit stop. So here they come, Matt, I'm sure for 4 tires.
And once again, Jimmy Johnson will lead them into the pit stalls. The Lowe's Cobalt crew going to work. Mike Knauer making a track bar adjustment. Jimmy says it's free, just too free earlier in the run to Steve.
Matt Kenseth says he needs a little more grip, and he's also said he's a little tight. He can't roll the center like he wants to, which means he can't get on the gas stick.
Biffle pits out of the 6th position. He has no one pitting in front of him or pitting behind him. A clear in, a clear out, Krista.
Carl Edwards acting as cheerleader, telling his guys, come on, I know we can do this. His car is a little loose all the way around, so the call was to tighten it up to make him quicker, sooner.
The Killer Bees got Matt Kenseth out first.
Those guys, they shine when they really need to shine.
So Kenseth could not catch Jimmy Johnson on the racetrack. He caught him and passed him on pit road for the lead.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's, is delivered by UPS. Watch David Reagan compete with the delivery drivers of UPS in Maximum Driver. Go to racing.ups.com.
Green, 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 green. All clear. That was very nice. One clear. Good job, buddy. Good job. You look as good as anybody out front, so don't do anything different. Just take your time. Just stay focused.
And that was our Cheez-It bye to the race as we go green to begin lap 281. Matt Kenseth, the new leader.
I don't care how fast you've been. I've seen that 17 car pull this little trick before.
Yes, sir.
Late in the race, he gets out front. See ya.
Jeff Gordon, 24 car, was up there on the inside of Matt Kenseth, trying to get one of his laps back the hard way because it's going to be tough with as many cars as we have 1 lap down, and Jeff Gordon's 2 laps down right now.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon's only hope was to stay in front of the leader and get 1 back and then be eligible for the lucky dog. That's not going to happen now.
Jimmy Johnson has led more than half the laps today, but the leader of the most laps has not gone to victory lane in 5 of the last 6 Dover races.
I believe the 96 just scraped the wall off turn 2 over there, backed him up a good bit.
Bobby Labonte, who's 3 laps down, back in the 31st position in the Ask.com Ford.
Oh, yes. You'll watch him here. He comes off the corner a little high. He gets a push. Bam.
Lightly and politely.
This is a good test for Jimmy Johnson, and we're getting another good test right here for Dale Jr. and Kyle Busch fighting for 7th place.
You talked about Matt Kenseth not playing around, even though Jimmy Johnson's coming back up to him. Matt Kenseth just ran his fastest lap of this race.
You just never know how good that 17 car is until you put him in this position.
But that 48 car right now, he turns the middle and picks the throttle up, and he's able to carry so much more speed onto the straightaway. And I think Matt Kenseth saw how quick that 48 car caught him. He said, you know what? I'm not going to push the envelope this season.
Nice and easy.
Jimmy Johnson with the 19th lead change of the day.
It's one thing about Matt Kenseth. When he knows you're faster than he is, he will slide up the hill a little bit and give you some room.
Back straight away, Paul Menard.
And somebody, Robbie Gordon.
Wow.
That's a hard hit on the 7 particularly.
It sure is, Darrell. Robbie coming off a fine 3rd place finish last week. And Menard's card, the left side, all torn up.
That baby has gotten loose off it, gotten hit off to probably one or the other and into the inside wall back there, which just murders the car.
All right, let's see how the 7th caution of the day got started. Look at those bright green cars way in the back.
Way back here.
Oh, who was that? Vickers got loose in front of him?
I think it was David Stremme at 12.
Boy, I'm glad they got that safer barrier down the back there now. That would have.
Boy, look how close of a call that was. I think that may have been Reed Sorensen in the 43 car.
Get a little bit better look here. Oh, you see somebody up there. Just say Stremme got loose, and that's what started that whole thing. But that was an incredible lick for the 7 car. And great driving right there to miss the 98.
That was Allmendinger who just got through there. There's a digger's eye view.
Wow. We didn't have a lot of takers on pit road, but there's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car. He comes down, Steve, to the attention of Lance McGrew in the group.
And Larry, you see right side tires going on the 88. You see also a chassis adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Most of the other drivers in this position have stayed out on the racetrack. 4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Jamie McMurray also comes to pit road along with our pole sitter, David Rudiman, and Juan Pablo Montoya. Robbie Gordon is okay. A great run last week. A tough ending today. We're under caution in Dover.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Claritin Allergy Products. Live Claritin Clear. By Cheez-It, the Big Cheese. By AT&T, your world delivered. And by Subway, home of the famous $5 footlong. Subway, eat fresh. Now check out our UPS Maximum Driver. 2006 Jeff Burton came to Dover riding a 175-race winless streak. He hadn't won since 2001 in Phoenix, but his 18th career win, his first at Dover, his only win in 2006. He is currently running 12th. Highest he's been is 9th. That's your UPS Maximum Driver. A quick recap here as we look at Jimmy Johnson, who has not only clinched the most laps for today's race, but he has more, 218 and counting, in any Dover race. The way things started, Jimmy took the lead on lap 49. We had 8 different lead changes in the first 100 laps. Jimmy dominating. Then Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting into the mix.
Yeah, it's great to see the 88 car back for being competitive right there. Got up to as close, I think, as fourth is up front. Plus the new crew chief, Lance McGrew, making a good calls all day long.
Denny Hamlin, who was running second. That's Denny Hamlin, not John Hamlin, CMT executive. Big shot tire problem, hits the wall, falls out of the picture and out of contention. And then with about 133 miles to go here off pit road, Matt Kenseth takes the lead from Jimmy.
Yeah, the Killer Bees, they did it one more time on pit road, but it's been a great battle between these two guys so far as we get ready to go back to green, and Jimmy Johnson is still the leader.
Your thought on staying, some stayed out among the leaders, but Junior came in?
Well, the thing is right now that his car had pretty much gone south. Something was wrong with it. It started to tighten up, so they decided to come down, work on this race car. They can get it dialed back in. We know how good he can be, so we still got a long ways to go, over 100 laps to run, so it might have been the right call. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of plays out.
And Mike, more leaders 10 and lead changes 20 than last year's race here in Dover.
Yeah, good to see, Chris. The first 14 of 20 cars on the lead lap did not pit. Clint Boyer got the free pass. He's back on the lead lap. We're ready to restart to begin lap 291.
Well, no matter what, even Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the cars that pitted that time, everybody will have to make at least one more pit stop.
And our pole setter was in, and they did a lot of work on the back of the car, and I just told that they tried to unhook the rear bar, the rear sway bar, which tells me that car must be a little loose.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car restarts in the 15th position. He almost lost it in turn 2. Having a really tough time getting going on this restart. Oh, Jeff Gordon, that 24 car, he strains his guts out trying to get that lap back quickly, but to no avail, especially those top two, Johnson and Kenseth.
Well, it's his only shot, Larry, because he's the first car 2 laps down. There are a whole group of 1 lap down cars in line for the free pass, 7 of them before it would fall to Jeff.
Well, Larry and I were convinced that he was just taking it easy, but Larry, I think his car was just not good at that point. They've gotten it much better, obviously.
Yeah, he looks like he can run in the top 5, but unfortunately he's 2 laps down.
Kyle Busch is back on the lead lap, and Kristen, now he's running in 7th place.
And Mike, he is a much different driver on the radio. I mean, the car still needs a little help, but Kyle is so much more pleasant to hear him talk. It's actually like someone took one Kyle out and put another Kyle in, joking with his team, saying, I'm going to take a deep breath. What can we do to fix this car? And he may have summed it up best by saying, it's like we have a front car and a back car, but we do not have a whole car.
Yeah, it was only about 60 laps ago that he got lapped by our leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, we call those arithmetic cars. Putting 3 down and carrying 1. That's what they usually felt like.
Robbie Gordon was checked at the care center and released after that crash, and Paul Menard has also taken his car to the pit road, where they continue to work on it and hope to get him back in the race. Dick? Matt.
Catching up on the 14, Mike, of Tony Stewart. You can see his progression. He's now in the 11th position. The biggest issue for Smokey says that the past 2 runs, he's given up way too much time on the racetrack because the race car is just way too free. So Darian Grubb made a big swing at it this time with a track bar adjustment, trying to tighten him up earlier in the run so he doesn't give up so much track position.
I think the problem, and I think that sounds like they were starting the air pressure way too low, and it was very uncomfortable to drive until the pressures came up. I bet they adjusted those tire pressures a little bit.
And that's great for the long run, but you just give up too many spots and too much distance on the racetrack to start with.
When you got a cat running out front here like Jimmy Johnson is, you can't give up anything on a restart.
Joey Logano in the 20, Darrell. He's got his hands full. He's got a loose race car, and coming down the front straightaway a lap ago, Clint Boyer gave him the boot, trying to battle him for 14th place, and there's more cars right behind Boyer, like Dale Jr. coming up into this mix, and Stremme.
Yeah, there's a reason it's not his car that's loose. It's that 33 bumping into it. It's caused it to be loose.
That's a snarling pack, and they're all on the lead lap, Steve.
Hey, Mike, update on Dale Earnhardt Jr. His car, he said, got violently tight. It was also a lot of chattering in the front end of that 88, so they hit pit road. When he went back out on the racetrack, Lance McGrew said to adjust the brake bias. That'll help you get in the corners. Dale's concerned about tire wear, but they're reassuring him tires are okay.
Well, we got teammates, Steve, racing hard up here. Greg Biffle in the 16, Carl Edwards in the 99, and Kyle Busch in the 18. He's going to take advantage of those two guys beating on each other.
Making a threesome. David Reagan in the 6 is right part of that. You know, there have been a few on-track bumps, some of them severe, between these two in the last couple of years.
That's just not nice right there.
I think just less than a month ago at Darlington.
Yeah, that was just not very nice for teammates to treat each other that way.
And was it last fall at Talladega? These same two drivers, Biffle and Edwards.
You mentioned David Reagan in the 6 car, their teammate. He's back in 23rd position, 1 lap down.
Dick Bergeron, I don't imagine Greg Biffle's any too pleased right now.
No, I can't use the words that he just used on the radio as he described his teammate Carl Edwards. Biffle wound up a lap down, well, basically on the back of the lead lap early on when he pitted, and then we got a caution flag. He has spent the entire rest of the race trying to catch up, but he has been picking them up, Mike, one after another after another. Biffle now in 5th position.
It reminds me of what my Sarah Caitlin said one time. Said, Dad, can't watch that anymore. They said the S word. I said, oh no. He said, yeah, stupid.
Hey, and speaking of kids, Brandon McReynolds, a big winner last night in UARA competition at Dillon, South Carolina. His 2nd win in the series, first of the season. Attaboy.
I'm telling you, Mike, at that motor coach last night, that race lasted an hour and a half, but it seemed like it lasted a day and a half.
Matt, how about our leader, Jimmy Johnson?
He's opened up to about a 3-second lead over the 17 at Kansas. Says the car at this juncture, Mike, is pretty neutral. He's pleased. To put a period on what Larry Mack was talking about the volts, Jimmy said that he flipped back on the bead blowers and the front blowers, and everything seems to be okay as far as the number that he's seeing on the gauges. Steve?
Well, Matt Kenseth is not pleased. He just told Bruce Lickentreffer, we have got this car way too loose.
Well, I think Jeff Hammond said it not that long ago. This racetrack is going through a change right now. I think it's got the least amount of grip that it's had all day long. It's become heat soaked, and we're starting to get more and more rubber down on the racetrack.
You know what else goes through a change right here with 100 laps to go? The driver.
The mindset.
The driver. This is when, if you're tired or fatigued or dehydration, cramps, this place just wears you out, buddy, and it really makes you not like your race car.
Yeah, we're just shy of 80 degrees ambient temperature, but that sun has been baking down here at least the last hour and a half.
It's amazing how bad your race car starts to drive when you get tired.
Johnson's lead 3.1 over Matt Kenseth. Mark Martin another 1.6 back. Kurt Busch another 2nd back, and Greg Biffle another 2.5 back. Jimmy Johnson has led all but 2 races in 2009, and he's led the most laps today. Jimmy Johnson still leading in Dover. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Ryan Howard and the Phillies head to L.A. to battle the Dodgers. Or Indians White Sox or Twins Mariners. It's Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Sears. This week at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific
on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Here's our McDonald's race summary at 85 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson has led more than half the distance. Jeff Gordon, his teammate, ended up 2 laps down, one on a pit stop that the caution flew right in the middle of. Denny Hamlin was a contender, pounded the wall in turn 3 at lap 232. He's okay. The car's done for the day. 7 cautions, 20 cars on the lead lap, and 84 to go.
You know, we just watched Jeff Gordon not too long ago drive by Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. Matt's a second place car, but with only 84 laps to go, with him being 2 laps down, and his teammate, the 48 car, so far out there, it's just going to be a tall order for Jeff to make any ground up here.
We'll mention that Paul Menard returned to the race after that crash with Robbie Gordon, but he is 20 laps down and has made another pit stop. In the garage, besides Hamlin and Gordon, Michael Waltrip, Scott Speed, Joe Nemechek, Dave Blaney, Mike Bliss, Mike Skinner, Tony Raines, and David Gilliland.
You know, Mike, a car that qualified in the top 10, actually in the top 5, Reed Sorensen in that 43 car qualified 4th. I think we all wondered, okay, did he just get a good lap in? But I think he has backed it up all day long. They got off a little bit early in the race, but Krista, he's just outside the top 10, back in 11th.
And Larry Mack, it's so important because, like you guys addressed at the top of the show, Mike talked about lighting a fire underneath him. And right from the very start, the first few laps, they talked about taking advantage of the good qualifying effort, the good track position, and the great pit stall. That is what they have done. His car has been a little tight on the last few runs, so they made an air pressure adjustment to try to free him up just a bit to get more turnability. Matt?
Scott Miller and Jeff Burton, we're looking at Dover as a game changer as far as the chase for the championship. They lost 2 spots last week at the Coca-Cola 600, looking for a strong, steady race here, and they've gotten it so far. They've been top 15 most of the race. The problem for Burton is he just can't seem to go anywhere. Lacking grip much of the race. They've gone back and forth on the side of the fence, being too loose, then way too tight. Now he's back to being too free.
The RCR cars are all right together. Burton, Boyer, Mears, 12th, 13th, and 14th, and running right with them is their teammate Kevin Harvick, who's 1 lap down.
You know, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin used to be Matt Kenseth's car owner.
He did.
And mentor, and right now he has just passed Kenseth.
He just mentored him.
And taken over 2nd place. Steve?
And Mike, the reason is the 17 just getting progressively looser. He just told Drew Blickensderfer, he said, I'm loose in, I'm loose in the middle, I'm loose off, I'm just wrecking loose.
And we are about 30 to 35 laps away from what would be the green flag pit stop. It should come somewhere between lap 350, 355, right in there, as we've now completed 322 laps.
But if you look at every one of these cars, I don't know, other than Jimmy Johnson, if there's anybody that happy with their car. We got a great battle here.
4th place. Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle trying to catch 3rd place, Matt Kenseth. Steve?
Mike, Kurt Busch just said up tight getting down into the turns, and it's lifting the left front off the corner.
I think you're dead on, Darrell. Nobody is happy with their car right now except Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car.
Just call me up and tell me mine's not as bad as everybody else's. It's bad, but it's not that bad.
But I do believe that 17 car, he's in trouble. He would love to see a caution. He's looking forward to Drew Blickensderfer saying, pit now.
Biffle makes the pass. It moves him up to 4th. Kurt Busch and the Deuce in 3rd. Kyle Busch has moved up 1 spot to 6th. Behind that battle, then Carl Edwards, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, the top 10.
You know, Mike, when that last caution came out on lap 285, I know he felt like his car was no good. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car, but Darrell and I both looked at each other. They only had 5 laps on their tires, and you could see it right there. It stepped out. And Steve, he has absolutely made up no ground since he came to pit road.
Larry Mackey wants to finish so well in this race, but he's been telling Lance McGrew, Brian Weitzel, anybody to listen, do not mess with this track bar anymore. We messed it up in practice and got the same results. I see where this is going. We need to find another direction. We've got a lot of laps left, but do not touch that track bar.
Well, they're probably only going to get one more shot at touching anything on this 88 car.
Look at these lap times real quickly. Jimmy Johnson 25.7. You got Martin there's at 25.5 at 25 for Kurt. 54. I mean, they're all right on top of each other.
Darrell, there's two ways to tune this race car on pit stops. You can tune it for maximum speed, or you can tune it for feel. And right now, I guess Dale Jr. is telling them he needs a feel in the race car he can be confident of much more than he needs that car to be faster.
Well, I don't want to keep harping on this, but been here, done this. When you get this point in the race, you really don't need a race car that's hard to drive. You need to have everything right now. And if your car is off right at this point, then you have a hard time hanging on to it because you're not physically as sharp as you were when the race started.
Well, he may not be as good as Jimmy Johnson in that 48, but that 16 car of Greg Biffle is pretty good right now. He drives by Kurt Busch in a 2. That's a battle for third, no longer battle. And there's Kyle Busch in the 18 car. He goes by Matt Kenseth. That puts Kyle up in the top 5 now.
And he's running the same laps. There's 25.49 and Jimmy Johnson 25.43 or 53. So Kyle is a little quicker than the leader, actually.
You just know if we come down to green flag pit stops, we talked about it at the top of the show, we talked about it in the pre-race, how much of a challenge it is to get to pit road under green and not underdrive it, but not overdrive it and be speeding when you get past that commit cone.
Have we had a green flag stop?
We have. We had one set, but now we've got a caution.
Debris on the racetrack puts us under caution for the 8th time today. Marcus Ambrose is the first car 1 lap down. He would get the free pass. And Jimmy Johnson's lead of almost 9 seconds is going to disappear.
Well, this puts everybody at least in a fuel window to be able to get to the end of the race here at lap 331.
But Larry, with what we've seen today and 69 laps to run, are we within the right window for a set of tires to go the distance?
Well, we're close. Remember, we did have a set of green flag runs earlier in the race. So, and Denny Hamlin did lose a tire at 61 laps.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident about that, though, Mike, because everybody's adjusted their cars up. They know what they've got now. I don't think that'll be I don't believe you have to worry about that.
Pit road will be open. This may be the last chance to improve these race cars before the checkered flag. Matt.
And Jimmy Johnson said his car was too free early, but right near the end of this run, it had gone to the neutral side. He was pleased. Chad Canals pleased also with Jimmy's tire management, how he has really saved his tires throughout the course of the run. To Steve Burns.
Mark Martin has a clear entrance, clear exit on and off pit road. They're going to make a track bar adjustment up 1 round and 4 tires for Mark Martin. Dick.
Greg Biffle had just run a couple of laps faster than the leader, so they're going to make no chassis changes in his car, just 4 tires and fuel for the run to the end. Krista.
Well, Kyle Busch wanted a track bar adjustment, but said it's too late in the day for that. It's going to be air pressure instead. His car is much better, but he needs it to come to life. The crew working on the left side, they said, be ready. It's the 48 who wins the battle off pit road.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson rocketed out of his pit stall. He was not going to get beat by Matt Kenseth's team again.
Tell you what, Tony Stewart, he had a slow stop earlier, but the boys picked up that time, picked up 3 spots.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by McDonald's and sponsored by Sprint. NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, it'll change the way you experience the race. By Lipitor. And by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150.
Getting set for the restart, Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth. Sam Hornish was trying to be the first car 1 lap down exiting the pits, and he ended up with a speeding penalty. He restarts the tail end of the longest line, 1 lap down.
You know that commercials that we go to sometimes in the breaks and you say, I like the way this one's setting up.
Yeah.
I like the way this one's setting up.
All right.
I agree.
Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Chevy, Ford, Toyota. Here we go.
This is when you better pull those gloves all the way up over your elbows, boys, because it's fixing to get a little busy.
Boy, Greg Biffle, his car really went up the racetrack off turn 2. Kurt Busch in the 2 pulled right up to the back of him.
This is when you can expect a little bit of contact.
Elliott Sadler almost slid up into Mark Martin. Didn't happen, though.
I correct myself. This is when you can expect a lot of contact.
Kurt Busch to second.
And that all started off of turn 2 the lap before that. He was able to complete the pass going into turn 1 on this lap.
I don't want to. You don't want to look in your mirror. I can tell you that, because it's a gaggle right here.
A lot of cars fighting for position. A lot of cars fighting to be the first car 1 lap down. Well, Elliott Sadler to 19 got into Regan Smith to 78 right there.
Sadler backing up fast.
Yeah, I don't think Sadler had any idea he was there.
Biffle's car is not good on the restart. There goes Mark Martin in the 5 by him, trying to get by him for 3rd.
Man, they are racing hard, Larry. 3-4 wide back here in the pack.
3 wide for the free pass position off turn 4. Harvick on the bottom, Reagan in the middle, and Martin Truex up top.
And Smoke trying to find a way through, because he needs to get up there and race for the leaders, but he's roadblocked right now.
We're riding with Carl Edwards in the 99, running right behind Tony Stewart. Carl is in the 8th spot right now.
Well, they're going to have to wait before until Harvick and Truex decide who is going to be the first car 1 lap down. Teammates yet again. Biffle and Kenseth for 4th. And Matt comes back.
That's an NFL right there.
Excuse me?
Not for long.
But this is what Darrell and I were talking about. You know, Greg Biffle, he's so bad on the restarts. You give up so many positions that you just can't never recover from it.
All right, you'll see Harvick right here. He's the first car 1 lap down. He's ahead of the 1 of Martin Truex.
Kevin he's been outside the top 20 almost all day long, has been a lap down most of the day.
6 almost got the 1 off of 2 that time.
Clint Boyer battling Casey Kane. This is on the lead lap. They're fighting for 9th.
And Tony Stewart is just trapped. He can go nowhere.
There you go. Let's go get that 99.
The 6 went up the racetrack that time. Looks like Tony Stewart's going to maybe be able to, but the 6 got the good run off the corner.
And yeah, now Tony's got company from Carl Edwards.
So the teams have enough Sunoco race fuel and tires to go the distance. Let's check with Jeff Hammond on his pick for the AT&T fastest pit crews of the race.
Well, thanks, Mike. All day long I've been watching Jimmy Johnson. Chad Knaus do a great job from that #1 pit position right there coming off on the pit road, along with Kurt Busch and Mark Martin. They've been solid, consistent all day long. Now they've got their drivers up there with 1, 2, and 3 with a chance maybe to win this race.
Don't forget to vote for the AT&T fastest and most valuable pit crew of the year. From your AT&T phone, text the pit crew's car number to 2258 to vote.
Uh-oh. Trouble.
Krista, what's wrong with Kyle Busch?
Vibration, the right front. He just came on the radio and immediately McHugh said, bring it in. A vibration on the right front, Kyle.
He just had moved into the top 5 after getting lapped just a little over 100 laps ago.
That's about how many weeks in a row now that he has trouble late in the race?
Well, he does get a reaction from the crowd.
Let's
no
see
matter what he does.
There wasn't a lead change. Nothing happened to any on the racetrack. What was all that about?
I think it was about what we're watching right now on our screen.
Duh.
So they go with right side tires only. It makes them feel pretty confident that it was a right side. See the crew looking there, trying to look at the lug holes. Jeff Gordon, that 24 car right there. I mean, he has had a top 5 car for the last 100 or 150 laps, but he's still sitting there 2 laps down now with 54 laps to go.
Yeah, they just got off in the middle of the race, and it cost them dearly.
And he's lost touch with race leader and teammate Jimmy Johnson. In fact, Gordon's about to get overhauled by Kurt Busch, the 2nd place car.
Yeah, and Kurt Busch is not too shabby either, Larry. He's matching Jimmy Johnson's lap times right now. They're within a few hundreds of each other every lap.
Now Kyle Busch, who has only had 2 top 15 finishes in the last 7 races, is going to have to come back into the pits. Krista?
Yeah, he had just came back on the radio and he said, and I quote, it was not the rights. Then he said, well, it took a pause and said it's a loose wheel. So the crew was looking at the right sides. They were trying to find the problem. Kyle answered it for him. He said it was not the right size because he still has that vibration.
And Daryl, Jeff and I stress this all the time. And you can see they're looking right here. What you'll do is look at these lug holes just to see if any of them are egg-shaped, and that'll tell you if the lug was loose. But I don't know. My philosophy is if you've got a vibration, you come in, Krista, and get 4 tires the first time.
Yeah, Larry, just to be safe, right? Well, now Kyle's saying the vibration's gone. Steve Addington, the crew chief, said, I think it's the splitter. So they're still trying to figure it out. Steve Addington is coming down off the pit box. The crew is kind of scrambling. They're trying to figure out what they can do to save this race.
It is, Krista. The splitter is split where it joins with the part.
The vibration.
That's what it is.
It is probably just shimmying up and down, dude.
From one Busch to his brother, Steve.
Mike, Kurt Busch just said to Pat Bryson, should I go get the 48 or should I wait? Pat said, go get him.
I really believe he can do it, Mike. I've been watching his lap times. He is consistently as fast, and every now and then goes quicker than the 48.
Well, we know if we stay green that we've got enough tires and we got enough fuel to go to the end.
49 laps from the finish here in Dover in the Autism Speaks 400, presented by Heluva Goods, sour cream dips and cheese.
Coach DW here. Hey, we just wanted to take a second and thank you for coming along on this wild and crazy ride we call NASCAR on Fox. We couldn't do it without you. We love our job. We love bringing it to you every Sunday. And remember, we'll see you in Daytona.
There's one in every crowd.
Hey, dudes, we're going to have us a race.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah. Kurt Busch.
You just gear up, get ready.
Kurt
40
Busch
to go.
Is ground pounding. He's bringing his Penske Dodge to within 1.2 seconds of Jimmy Johnson's Hendrick Chevy.
I thought when he asked Pat Tryson, did he want him to go on up there and get him? I said, that sounds like Junior Johnson to me, but he is going up there to get him.
But Daryl, what I'm watching, that 2 car, he's searching. He's trying to find the most grip at both ends of the racetrack he can get right now.
He's found a bunch down here in 3 and 4. That's where he's really closing it down, Larry, and that's another 10th right there.
And Matt, this time Jimmy Johnson stepped it out 1/10 of a second on this lap. So it's 1.5 seconds, and you see that gap as it goes up and down as Kurt Busch tries to reel in Jimmy Johnson with 38 laps to go. Matt.
Well, Mike, as we're closing in, Jimmy Johnson trying to close the deal on his 4th Dover victory. He's really said nothing about the race car. Chad Knaus has given him lap times comparing the 48 to the 2 of Busch. All Jimmy has said, he told Chad about 15 laps ago that he has started to turn off different blowers in this race car. Steve?
Matt, Kurt Busch just said, I'm at 100%, but I think I'm going to take it easy on that right rear for a few laps. Caution is out.
Debris in turn 3, Steve, puts us under caution for the 9th time today. This is the 6th yellow flag for debris that we've had this afternoon, and it comes with 37 laps to go.
Looks like Harvick might get the free pass.
And that'll put him in the top 20 and back on the lead lap. He was ahead of Martin Truex for the
Kind
free
of
pass.
interested to see if that 2 car was going to be able to do anything with 48. We'll get them bunched up here and find out again, I guess.
Well, Daryl, it's been 28 laps since we restarted last after that last caution. There's no question. I think we'll see everybody come to pit road and get 4 tires for about a little 30-lap shootout here.
I'm coming to pit road, and I ain't leaving until you put 4 tires on me.
You know what? I don't want you to leave till I put 4 on you.
But let me ask you this, Larry. You have time to put fuel in because you're changing 4 tires. Do you send that car out full for balance, or do you leave what fuel is in the tank?
I think it all depends on what the handling characteristics of your car is. If your car is loose, don't put no more weight in the rear of that car. If your car is tight, go ahead and put all the fuel you can. Just don't let the fuel hold the tire changers up.
Yeah, and if you're that 48 car, whatever you've been doing, just do it again. One more time.
Jimmy Johnson has 3 Dover wins. He won here both races in his rookie year, 2002, and he won here September of 2005. Matt?
One more chassis adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. Track bar. This team stellar on pit road all day today. Last stop. Let's see if they can knock it off one more time, Steve.
Matt, no adjustments for the 5 car of Mark Martin. He said his car is just a little bit tight, but no adjustments. The 2 car of Kurt Busch, he said, give me some water for this last run. Also, no adjustments on the 2, Dick.
Biffle called for just 2 tires and a minor chassis adjustment. The driver made the decision.
Carl Edwards and his team deciding whether 4 or 2 was the way to go. It is 4 tires for Carl Edwards. He said his car is just a little free, but it has a lot more grip.
Greg Biffle and both the Newman-Haas cars get out first. Stewart and Newman, then Casey Kane.
Boy.
Busch and David Stremme a gamble. He picks up 9 spots.
That's a shake-up on pit road.
Oh, this changes everything.
But I'm going to tell you what I saw earlier in the race with 30 laps to go. I want 4 tires on my car.
Ready for the restart for lap 368. The 4 cars up front took on 2 tires. Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, his teammate Ryan Newman, and Casey Kane. From there on back, you've got Kurt Busch with 4 tires and a host of contenders right behind.
So Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, went from 1st to 9th, and not all because of other cars just taking 2. It looks like they had a little bit of a snafu on their pit stop.
Like I said, Larry, the only way that 48 could lose this race, they had to beat themselves somehow, and apparently they had an issue somewhere.
They are behind Matt Kenseth mid-pack.
I just don't see you getting by that many cars in 30 laps.
Matt, what happened on Johnson's stop?
They just had some issues, Mike, on the front of the vehicle when they're changing the tires. That caused
Trouble! David Stremme in the wall. An accordion effect. He got troubled up there with Matt Kenseth. Rudeman spins to miss him.
Boy, Rudeman did an incredible job to miss David Stremme. I don't know how he missed him.
Stremme was right in front of Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson. And he's a lead lap car.
Yeah, he got clipped coming off of 4 here.
Left side damage, deck lid's hanging off of it.
That's a tough break for David Stremme, who had been running in 6th place.
Well, that's one of the teams that rolled the dice and got just 2 right side tires to get up there.
That's a tough break for Jimmy Johnson, too, because these laps clicking away, it's just going to be hard for him. Boy, it looks like Mark Martin might have gotten into the 12.
Yeah. Boy, right in front of Kyle Busch in the 18, and he keeps it against the inside wall, but you're going to see him right here go up the racetrack. Look at David Rudeman right there, just turn it dead left.
That was a great job. Harvick missed him.
Well, let's watch for Mark Martin and see what happened here.
Stremme's wiggling a little bit. Mark got it. I think Stremme was wiggling a little bit. Mark got against him. That's all it took to turn him around.
When he was that loose, it didn't take much.
No. Now Stremme was still going when he comes off the end of that wall right there. But look at David. Oh,
wow, what a miss.
My goodness.
And I want you to remember, David Rudeman was probably running about 150 to 60 miles an hour right there.
Last year here, Stremme would have been wrecked right there as soon as he hit the inside wall, but with the safer barrier.
David,
okay, now it's wrecked.
David ought to give old Lucky Dog a bone.
Yes. Now here's Kenseth and Johnson right behind Mark Martin getting stacked up.
See, Mark got bumped too. I guess that's when Mark got against the 12, checked up a tad, and the 17 got in the back of Mark. That's unbelievable.
And David Rudeman's on pit road for what I like to say, 4 tires and a new set of drawers.
2 cautions in 6 laps, Darrell, after a pretty much trouble-free race all day. Are we at that point in the race where cautions breed caution?
Well, you know, we've watched this happen time and time again. You get down late in the race like we are right now. Wow, what was that?
Thunderstorm. Let's get down and get an update on Jimmy Johnson.
Hey, Mike, we were looking at what went on that last pit stop as far as Jimmy Johnson's concerned. The right side was very clean, but the key was when they came around to the left side of the car. You see the jackman coming around, but watch, after the car goes up, look at the exchange between the left front changer and the tire carrier. All of a sudden, there's too many hands in there, and everybody gets jammed up. What they tried to do was use the gas man and the gas catcher to help them, but what it did, it messed all the timing up, and instead of being faster, it was slower, and it cost them off of pit road.
Jeff, what did Darrell say? Whatever you've been doing every pit stop, Just do it the same this time, and they didn't do it.
And they didn't do it.
One more
Again,
time, please.
Exactly, guys. I mean, don't beat yourselves, as Darrell likes to say. But these guys practice this, and you would have thought that would have helped them. I watched the 2-car make their pit 4-tire stop. They stayed exactly with the same exchange, and they wound up beating him off the pit road, and it may cost these guys.
There is the trophy, the miniature Miles the Monster, that some driver is going to take home. And the big question is who? Because one thing about Dover, we talked at the top of the show about strange races and strange things here. This place, it's never over until it's over.
When you know you come in on that stop, the only way you're going to lose this race is beat yourself. And Chad maybe even been second guessing himself on taking 4 tires.
Yeah.
A lot of tension, a lot of pressure. And you get on those guys just that little wee bit, and it makes them make a mistake.
You know, Mike, I talked about it at the top of the show. 12 races in 2009, and we've had 8 different winners. And when I look at our top 4 right now, none of those guys have been to victory lane yet in 2009.
And it just tightens, and it tightens for 4 hours. Who can take the pressure? That's the question.
Here we go, and we will restart with 27 laps left to run. Greg Biffle, whose worst finish in his last 9 Dover races is 13th. He has 7 top 8s and a victory here in this race in 2005. Greg Biffle leads them back to the green flag.
Well, Jimmy Johnson is going to have to get by some of these cars in a hurry to have any realistic chance of winning this race. And I just don't see that happening with the guys on the inside racing each other, holding everybody up.
Johnson is 8th.
Now, Tony Stewart in the 14 car is trying to clear that 24 car of Jeff Gordon because the laps are running out for that 14 car. But Biffle was like shot out of a cannon after 1 lap after that restart.
Larry, just pretty much consistently, anybody that starts up front like that, they're going to gap everybody else pretty big with the clean air.
Well, Stewart finally gets by Jeff Gordon, so all's in front of him now is that 16 car, Greg Biffle.
Technical trouble with our scoring ticker. We're unable to bring you that at this time. Working on it as Tony Stewart 0.8 of a second behind Biffle. Then it's Newman, Kane, and Busch, the top 5. Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, the top 10.
And then there's the problem for Jimmy Johnson. Look, Matt Kenseth can't get by the 83. They just keep running side by side. It holds him up. It's killing his chances.
Casey Kane, Kurt Busch having a great battle here for 4th place.
And I thought Busch had the car that maybe could win this thing, and then that pit stop messed him up.
Well, he was one of the cars that did 4 tires. He was the first car off pit road to go with 4.
I think the thing that may help Kurt in the 2 and Jimmy in the 48, if we have another late caution here, they could get closed up, and that might save them.
You know, we're starting to see Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car last time through 3 and 4. He had to go to the high side. He hadn't been up high, but he's got to go wherever he can go now to get by these cars because we only have 23 laps to go.
Boy, 5th place for Johnson as he whistles past Casey Kane.
It's going to be so close for the 48 if he can make it.
Because right now he's over 3 seconds behind leader Greg Biffle.
And Biffle is running just about the same time. Matter of fact, a little bit quicker than Johnson.
20 cars on the lead lap. Biffle, Stewart, Newman 3rd. Busch, Jimmy Johnson, the top 5.
Man, did you see that 48 rocket up off that corner that time to go by the 39 car? He's got her gassed up.
4th place.
If he can chase down Greg Biffle in 20 laps, I know he's got a fast car, and we know he's been able to pull away on every restart, but...
Oh, yeah. Looks like you stuck in the bathtub.
I don't know if you're right about that or not, but it sounds good.
20 to go this time by. Once again, we apologize for the scoring ticker. Hope to get that fixed up for you before the end of this race. But 20 cars on the lead lap. Biffle, Stewart, Johnson, Kurt Busch, Kenseth, then Newman, Kane, Martin, Edwards, and Boyer 10th.
I don't believe when Jimmy gets to the 1 car of Truex that he'll hold him up. We certainly know the 24 won't.
4th place battle.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, the 2 car, they definitely, even though they went with 4 tires, they are really losing the handle on this thing here late in the race. Now, Greg Biffle just ran a 24.85, Jimmy Johnson 24.52. That's the first lap that Jimmy has had without having to deal with traffic since that restart.
Now just outside the top 10, Casey Mears is 11th, Dale Jr. 12th, McMurray, Logano, and Harvick, and the rest of the top 20, Hornish, Burton, Rudeman, Sorensen, and Ambrose. Those are the lead lap cars.
Boy, Johnson is just, he is, he's driving qualifying laps. Every lap he is in the corner so much harder than the cars in front of him.
And you know what's amazing? Tony Stewart in that 14 car just about 5 laps ago ran his fastest lap of this race.
There goes the 48.
He just splits them.
Got them both at one time. I knew they weren't going to hold him up.
Well, there's only 2 cars in his windshield now. That's the 16 of Greg Biffle and the 14 of Stewart.
What he'd like to see is the 14 be able to get up there and get after the 16 and slow him down a little bit.
All right, let's go to today's monster moment presented by NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, and it is this. Jimmy Johnson's march to the front after this last caution flag as he tries to chase down Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart. The car that's been the class of the field all day is third, chasing the leader. Stay tuned to NASCAR 7 days a week with in-car audio, live race radio stats, and more with NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. It'll change the way you experience the race. Visit sprint.com/speed to find out more on the Now Network.
Your old rhythm, bud.
The 48 car has changed his line, Larry. He got up off the bottom now. Apparently he feels like it's faster up higher. We haven't seen him up there all day long. Now he's running the high line.
But Darrell, now he's still beating Greg Biffle by only a 10th. It wasn't but about 2 or 3 laps ago he was beating him a couple to 2.5 tenths a lap.
Okay, he's back to the bottom now. I think he might have been trying to see if there was any extra speed up there, because now he's back where he was been running most of the day, right around the bottom.
Yeah, he got up on top there, Darrell, and wiggled just a bit. That didn't work out too well.
No.
And now he's back to beating him 2.5 tenths as we now have just 14 laps to go.
In 2009, Greg Biffle has 6 top 10s. He's finished between 23rd and 10th, though, the last 6 races. He's winless so far, with a 3rd place in Texas, the best finish for the 3M Ford so far.
And how would you like to be Jimmy Johnson, Mike Larry? You've been sitting here all day on cruise control. Now you got your hardest job, the hardest part of your day right here at the end of the race.
Yeah, you've led 295 of our 387 laps.
You know, all this about Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson. What about Tony Stewart? Can Tony Stewart get up there and wrest the lead from Greg Biffle?
He's not just going to roll over if that 48 car gets to him. I can guarantee you. 12 laps to go.
Jimmy Johnson's going to catch him. I don't know if he can pass him, but he's going to catch him.
Tony Stewart won the All-Star race, looking for his first Sprint Cup point-paying win as a driver-owner.
Darren, what I'm seeing with the 48 car going to the high side, especially off 2, he's getting that lunge down the straightaway.
I think what he's trying to do, Larry, is like dime in the corner. In hard, up high, and then try to run down the hill to get some extra speed.
4th place. Kurt Busch has caught Matt Kenseth again.
Well, it'll be 10 to go this time by, guys.
He didn't have the drive off the corner to pass him this time, but they continue to battle with Casey Kane right behind them in 6th.
Boy, Stewart got to run that time through 3 and 4. He pulls right up to the back bumper of that 16 car.
But you know what Jimmy Johnson's doing? He knows they're not going to give him the bottom. He's got to fix. He's got to make a pass on the outside, on the high side. I think that's why he's working that line.
Dover just always seems to be a big rubber band race. They all spread out, and as we get to lap 400, they all come right back together, and here they are.
Now Stewart's going to try the high side that time off 4.
Got a 4-2 Chevrolets here going at it. I love it.
9 to go. Stewart to the bottom. Biffle goes up high, too high.
Looks like the All-Star race.
Now Biffle may try the crossover. He gets the good run off turn 2, side by side.
Jimmy Johnson's loving every bit of this. Race each other, boys. Race each other. I am here.
Tony Stewart is going to become the 11th different leader today. Side by side for 2nd.
Jimmy Johnson is there. He's got him now, Larry. Those 4 tires really starting to pay off.
We've got over 100,000 people here. We don't need any seats. They're all standing right now.
Jimmy's getting that high line is giving him such great straightaway speed. That's what's really making the difference.
Kenseth 4th, Kurt Busch 5th, Kane, Newman, Edwards, Martin, and Mears the top 10. Then Boyer, Earnhardt, Hornish, McMurray, and Logano. And the rest of the lead lap, Harvick, Burton, Rudeman, Sorensen, and Ambrose 20th.
Watch this 48 car get off at turn 2 now. He really gets a roll down the back.
But Darrell, the 14 car went to the high side. He didn't give up a lot that time in 1 and 2. Now Stewart goes high, Johnson goes low.
I think Jimmy Johnson's just baiting these guys. I think he wants them to think he can only run the top side maybe.
Jimmy Johnson, class of the field all day. He's led 295 laps. He wants to lead one more.
Boy, I tell you, Jimmy overdrove turn 1 that time and lost a bunch of time. Gains it back. But that's going to be the challenge. Can I get by this cat?
There'll be 5 to go. This time, Johnson all the way up to the top of the racetrack.
He'll never make it up there.
What a drive he gets off the corner, though, Darrell, coming down the hill and gets right to Stewart's bumper.
There he goes to the bottom, side by side through 1 and 2. Stewart should get the race
going to get
off the high side.
Going to get loose down there. I think that's what he knows. His car is really free. He knows he can't make that pass down there, I'm pretty sure.
2 of America's best slugging it out in equal equipment with 4 laps to go. Who's going to win it?
Well, you got him, dude. You got him.
I don't know about that.
Chad Canals coaching his driver, Jimmy Johnson.
He's going to have to sneak by him. He's going to have to get a nose on him right here or off one of these corners where Tony can't move up in front of him. As long as Stewart can beat him and move up in front of him, he'll never get by him.
Darrell, I like it better when that 14 car runs high through 1 and 2. I don't think he can do it staying on the bottom.
Here they come.
3 to go.
Oh, they almost touch.
Don't do that to me, dude. There's one thing I know about that guy in that 14 car. Don't start beating around on him.
I believe he might get the run this time off of turn 2. Let's see if he can complete the pass. He's going to have to go high in 3 and 4.
I believe that little bump down the front here. There he goes. He's got the lead now.
And Johnson's got that big drive off turn number 4. This should carry him past Stewart and into the lead with 2 to go.
I think that bump down the front here on Tony Stewart, it was kind of a little wake-up call. Hey, man, I got 4 tires. You got 2. I'm coming.
What racing, though? Wow.
Greg Biffle not in position to challenge Matt Kenseth. Kurt Busch the top 5. We apologize for not having the scoring ticker in these closing laps. No, a gopher did not cut the cable. Kane, Edwards, Mears now up to 8.
And
Newman, Martin
white
top 10.
Flag is in the air. 1 more lap to go. 1 mile. Johnson is my hero today, Larry. That was a whale of a drive. Taking those 4 tires, that gamble, and driving it to the front.
But you know who's breathing the easiest right now? Chad Canals in that 48 pit crew.
Yeah, well, he's doing those I told you so's now.
Jimmy Johnson and the Cobalt Tools Lowe's Chevrolet come off turn 4 and score their 4th win at Dover, their 2nd win of 2009.
Stewart 2nd, Biffle 3rd, Kenseth 4th, Kurt Busch 5th.
Casey Kane will be 6th, Carl Edwards 7th, Ryan Newman, Casey Mears, Mark Martin the top 10. Boyer, Earnhardt, Hornish, Joey Logano, and Jamie McMurray at the line for 14th. Then Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick.
Be prouder. You did an awesome job.
Rudeman, Sorensen, Ambrose, the top 20.
Pretty good recovery, Larry, for the 88 car.
You guys
So, by the way, 12.
Miles, the monster falls to Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals.
It don't get much better than that right there, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it doesn't.
Jimmy Johnson's 42nd career win. He has averaged a victory in 1 of every 6 starts. And it is the 11th win for Rick Hendrick, car owner at Dover. Jimmy led 298 laps, the most laps that he has led in 269 starts. Let's show you as he came up on Tony Stewart for the lead.
Got that run right there off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. That's all he needed is to get door handle to door handle.
I wonder why he was working the high side where he hadn't done that all day long, Larry, but I think he knew that the only way I'm going to get by these cats, I'm going to have to slide by on the outside.
And he had not been running the high side at all.
Not at all.
None of the day.
Jimmy Johnson the winner. Casey Kane gets a 6th. That's only his 2nd top 10 finish at Dover. What a race.
Terrific finish here in Dover. NASCAR on Fox, and there is your champion of today, Chad Knaus's crew chief, who is 3 laps to go here at the Monster Mile, said, you got him, you got him. And Jimmy Johnson surpassed Tony Stewart as we welcome you to the Lipitor post-race show. What a showdown. 2 of the best drivers in the sport. And Jimmy Johnson in victory lane with our Chris Devoto.
And let the showers begin. You know, here at Fox, we hate to say goodbye, but when we go out with a bang. An incredible race. I don't even know where to begin. How in the world, as we get drenched, how in the world did you come back to win that thing?
Great race car. I mean, so much fun today. We had an awesome race car, and I can't thank these guys for working so hard to get us cars to drive that comfortable. I mean, we've been fast, but this was a very special car today, and I got to thank Chad and these guys, Hendrick department, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. But at the end, you know, those guys stayed out on 2, and I just had to go. Got running around the top and had one heck of a race with Tony. I mean, that's how racing's supposed to be done. So big thanks to the fans for their support of our great sport. Hopefully we put on a good show for them. Thank you, Fox, for what you've done for the year. Thanks to all the 48 fans and Sprint for putting on such a good show for us. Let us come out and race.
Well, with a run like that, we have to give the driver some credit, too. You won here before. Has it ever felt like this? Rick Hendrick back in victory lane, the Autism Speaks 400. It was a big day. It was a huge day. And to be able to have to run that hard and pass that many good cars to get the lead, that's a challenge. So I really had to suck it up and get going. And I thought I was going to pound the wall a couple times on the top. I cooked it off in there too fast and slid right up to the crumbs. And I'm like, please stick, please. And it stuck, and I made it back around. So it was good. Well, they say this is the track that separates the men from the boys. Jimmy Johnson manhandled the field today.
And he was 8th with 25 laps to go, but those 4 tires, his crew putting him in victory lane. Tony Stewart, another 2nd place finish, but Tony first in points, his first points lead since 2005, and he is standing by with our Matt Yoker.
What a month of May it has been for Tony Stewart. Took home the big money at the All-Star event and almost took home his first points-paying race here on the Monster Mile. What a show you and Jimmy Johnson put on today.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, you know, the fastest car won the race today for sure. So it's awesome to see him get the win. I'm just excited for our guys. I mean, to battle back to a 2nd place run, that's awesome because we weren't a 2nd place car all day, but the guys in the pit crew and on the pit stops did an awesome job at the end. And we took 2 and got some track position there, and I think that's just what we needed. It seemed like if he got stuck back in the back, it was dirty air was terrible today.
2 milestones today in NASCAR for Tony Stewart. For the first time, you've led the points before race 21, and it's been 556 races since an owner-driver last led the championship standings. And you're leaving Dover, leading the Fox points. You're the Fox champion. Here is the Fox Cup. That'll go right alongside your Harvey, your Stewie, and those other NASCAR championships.
Yeah, it's I don't know where I'm going to put this. It's got a special spot, obviously, but I'm so excited. I mean, for Gene Haas and all the guys at Stewart Haas Racing that worked hard. I mean, we want this to be the last 10 races and be talking about this the last of those, but it's a good place to be right now.
Tony Stewart, he is 2nd and 1st here in Dover.
And we'll see Tony Wednesday at Eldora on pay-per-view. Enjoy the Fox Cup. There you go. What a great run. And the unofficial results, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, the Roush Fenway Fords. They didn't need any bailout money either. 3 in the top 7. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., 12th with that crew chief change.
I think it was just a great improvement right there for that 88 crew, and just really happy for them.
Let's head upstairs, get some final thoughts for the NASCAR on Fox racing coverage this season with Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Wow. Wow. I mean, what a way to finish this out. You know, we have the first half of the race to the chase every year. And, yeah, there are surprises. There are first-time winners. There's a lot of excitement. But what a race to finish up with.
Well, I just think that we came in here this weekend with a lot of things going on. We raced on Monday. Coming here, David Ruderman gets a pole after winning a race down in Charlotte. I mean, the town hall meeting that's all this week long. Everything has been positive. And Dale Jr.'s change is positive. He got a great result today. So this weekend, unlike some of the others, this was a great positive weekend for NASCAR and for the sport.
Well, and I think that's the great thing about NASCAR racing. Yeah, it looked like nobody was going to touch the 48 car, and then we get that debris caution. And we have all types of strategy. We have those cars that go with 2 tires. We have kind of a bad pit stop by the 48 car, and next thing you know, he's back there in 9th, and that's what set up some great racing. But that's the reason you don't cut a NASCAR race off until the checkered flag is well waved.
We hate that our part of the season is over. You know, the worst thing we want to do is sit on the couch next week, or in Larry's case, go to Pocono with a different group, because we love what we do, and it's really an honor and a privilege for us, for all of the folks down in the production truck, up on the roof, in the pits and everywhere, to spend our Sundays with you folks at home. You make it all possible for us. And gosh, we love what we do, and we can't wait for February.
I'll just tell you, folks, nobody cares more than we do. We care about this sport. We care about the people in it. We care about the product that we put on the screen, and it's because we want you to like what we do, enjoy what we do. We try to entertain. We try to educate. We try to have a little fun along the way, too,
well,
and this year has been fun.
And I feel so good about the future of our sport going forward with what's happened in the last 5 or 6 days and the kind of race we've had today. Sit back on the couch and enjoy it. And we will, too, Chris.
It's only 8 months until the Daytona 500, and we will be there.
See you in February. I mean, it's not all that long.
We'll be counting it down. Nice work, you guys. It was a lot of fun watching this play out. And can Jimmy Johnson get a 4th straight NASCAR Cup Championship, Sprint Cup Championship, keep that rolling? Unprecedented, and certainly they have it dialed in right. 13 races down, 13 to go to the chase.
Yeah, I think you keep asking me that question right there, and
you
only I can say yes. I think these guys here have shown one more time they get their cars better. Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson believe in one another. You made the point. Hey, go get him, buddy. That's what Chad told him to do. And what did Chad do? He went and got him.
Well, others will be chasing Jimmy, and points leader Tony Stewart. Greg Biffle overtaken today, Roush Fenway Ford. Also Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're going to hear a lot more from him with the crew chief change. We'll hear from both of those drivers, starting with Steve Burns, who is with Greg Biffle.
Well, Greg Biffle, you had the lead on that final restart. Tell us about the final laps.
Well, I'll tell you what, the car ran really good all day. We got back in traffic and had to work on our chassis and to work our way all the way through. It took us 300 laps to get back to the front on that unfortunate catching us on pit road. But once I got out front, the car just too loose. You know, first time out front since we'd been back in traffic, and just too loose, couldn't get the power down. And I saw Tony coming, and I was doing all I could do. If I could have put a round wedge in, I think I could have drove off from those guys and possibly won. But you know, 48 was the class of the field today, and I'm surprised he got all the way back up there again. And you know, we just had a great race, good race car. The guys did a good job in the pits. I think we made all the right calls. Just unfortunate mishap on pit road. You know, we got stuck there when the caution came out.
Good job, Greg.
Thank you.
With Dale Jr., he has finished in the 12th position in his first run with a new crew chief, and Rick Hendrick was very congratulatory on the radio after the race. How did you like the day?
Well, I liked it pretty good. There was 11 other guys out there that deserve an interview better than I do, but you know, we worked hard, and we had some pretty good moments there in the middle part of the race. We got the car much better, and Amp Energy National Guard Chevrolet was, you know, in the top 5, and we felt like we had worked it there and had a good enough car, and we sort of got off a little bit on some adjustments, and we kind of, you know, played around with the car from there. But you know, we definitely had a productive day, and you know, I've told all my boys, I said, we're building Rome here, and it might take a while to get it finished, but if everybody works hard, we'll get it done right. And this was a good start for
Dale.
Yeah, this is a good start for us.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. with a real good start with a new crew chief. A big day for him here at Dover.
Thanks very much, Dick Berggren. And the beast here at the Monster Mile is Jimmy Johnson and that 48 team, Chad Knaus and Jimmy getting it done. We'll take a look at the points picture when we continue. We're glad you're with us live here for NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to Dover, Delaware, and the points lead has changed now after 13 races. Tony Stewart, look where Ryan Newman is, part of Stewart-Haas Racer.
Well, I mean, we talk about it all the time, what this team has done in 1 year. Tony Stewart leading the points, but Ryan Newman gets up in the top 5, putting themselves solidly in the right position to be able to make the chase for the first time for Stewart-Haas Racing.
Matt Kenseth fell a couple of spots. So did Jeff Burton. And these are the guys that are trying to get in. You see that window to make the top 12. They'll have 13 races to do it.
Yeah, David Rudiman, Casey Kane, Juan Pablo Montoya, they've got to kind of pick up the performance if they want to make it, because Mark Martin right there in 12, and he ran pretty good today. These other guys, well, races are running down. 13 to go before you have to make it or break it.
Give us an overview of the 13 races so far and where we stand.
Whew, a lot of surprises, I think, more than anything else. I mean, when you think about Brad Keselowski winning like he did, of David Rudiman, nobody would ever probably picked him to win a race, much less the Coca-Cola 600. So I think it's a year of surprises, and I think we got some great battles. But again, look who our leader is in the points, Tony Stewart. We were wondering whether or not these guys are going to be competitive, much less have the ability to win races and lead the points chase right now. Very impressive year for guys that, I guess you might say the unexpected, Chris, but we've seen some great competition, including today. I mean, what a fantastic race right there at the end. You could not have scripted any better. Larry McReynolds kind of like, I think, put it in proper perspective of, look where Jimmy Johnson was, look at the mistakes and what it took to have that battle, but in the end, he overcame.
Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, those are the two best. We always use pound for pound with boxers. Wheel for wheel, best drivers in the sport right now?
Best drivers in the sport right now, because you got a 3-time defending Cup champion going against a guy who wants to win another championship in Tony Stewart. I mean, these guys are the top of the class as far as, you know, if you start looking at resumes, you can't do any better than Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart.
He just ignored the wheel for wheel. I don't know what that meant, but we're wrapping up tonight on Fox. And we're glad
You're the only loose wheel I know around here.
If you've stayed around as long as you have, we'll stick around for Animation Domination. You'll laugh out loud with everybody from American Dad, King of the Hill, The Simpsons, your local news following. And, you know, of course, we're wrapping up NASCAR, but Major League Baseball on Fox continues every Saturday through the All-Star Game, the American League Championship Series, the World Series. Down the road, you have F1 racing as well next Sunday. And there's the list of baseball games: Phillies and Dodgers, Indians, White Sox, Twins, Mariners, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific next Saturday. So, wow, it's been a great start to the Fox season.
I'm going to miss you, Chris. I can't believe I'm saying that.
I want to thank you and our entire production crew, the pit reporters, all the people production-wise behind the scenes, of course, the fans. We do it for you. Couldn't do it without you.
Couldn't do it with our fans.
Wish our broadcast partners a great NASCAR season the rest of the way.
Great job, Barry Landis and Bill Richards, leading us all year long.
Yeah, so baseball on Fox, NFL on Fox. We'll see you in Daytona. For Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox, and we'll see you next time from Daytona.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's caught, the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear the double say.
Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys!
Let's go racing, boys. NASCAR racing, boys. Oh yeah!
Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys!
Let's go racing, boys. NASCAR racing, boys.
We are Fox Sports!
Promotional considerations provided by